Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hi,
everyone.
good morning. Yeah.
Good morning. Lovely. All right. I hope you all can see me. I hope you all can see the screen as well. Quick check. All right. Great. So, folks, let me just quickly set up the protocols for the session series, and this is what we're going to follow throughout. So, I think most of you would have already attended the orientation program, and I would have mentioned then. So, we'll keep the session completely participative. One. Second, if we feel that there is a disturbance at our end in terms of the background, and if you feel that you are at a place where there's a lot of disturbance, I would request you to use chat box for participation rather than unmuting yourself. We have given unmute option to everyone so that you can be participative in the class, and the class can be participative rather than a one-sided conversation. But please understand these all sessions are recorded, and for an effective recording and later references and people who missed the session, for them also, that's very important to have an effective recording. And for that purpose, keep and try and keep yourself on mute all the time when you're not speaking. And when you're participating, make sure that you don't have background disturbance. If there is a background disturbance, feel free to use the chat box option for participation. All right. So that's one. Second is please don't open up your videos because we have been given a feedback by the IT team that a single video of the faculty is important from a recording standpoint of view. Otherwise, it's too much of a confusion. So don't open up your videos. All right. So that are the two things that I would sincerely recommend. And then let's get the session series started. So let's begin the session, folks. A very warm welcome to everyone to start with the part one session series. For all of your information, this is probably the sixth batch that we are conducting for the part one. And heartiest welcome to everyone with the CIA journey. Some of you who have already attended other parts, this is going to be exciting in terms of starting with the first part itself, which acts as a foundation piece. And people who have straight away joined in, of course, you're starting with the first part itself. So don't worry. I mean, irrespective you've covered the other parts, or you have been part of the previous session series or not, doesn't matter a lot. We will exactly start from the scratch, right? So we'll start from the first part. Part one itself is basically the foundation. Generally, this concern is more when you're starting straight away with part two or part three. People have that concern that okay, whether we are starting from the base zero or not. But part one is anyhow is a base zero thing, right? So we'll start with it. Can I see it on the chat box? People who have only people who have not attended the orientation program and also who are new to the session series. Can I see it only for the people who have not attended the earlier orientation program and coming straight away for the class, and people who have not been part of any of the session series in the past? Can I see it on the chat box? Is there anyone among you who have not attended? Can you please put it on the chat box? Okay, we have one. Um, okay, a couple of them, right? So, okay, so not attended. Dipanshi is one. Chandni, Chandni, you have attended previous session series, I believe, right? So my question is, who have not attended orientation and have not been part of any of the session series in the past? Okay.
Hi, Arpit. I've not been part of any series. It's just the
Okay,
first
okay,
day.
okay, okay. Got it. Lovely, Chani. So probably there is another Chani. That's the reason I got confused. Okay, so a lot of them. In fact, Hemant is saying yes. Christella is saying yes. Asta is saying yes. Himanshu is saying, Varsha is saying attended, but new to the series. Okay. A lot of them, okay, I think maybe 15 odd people of you maybe are new to the batch, and maybe I have not attended the orientation. All right, no worries. First of all, my recommendation to everyone is, because it would be very difficult and very unjustified to people who've already gone through the orientation program, that to repeat everything that we've covered in orientation program. But folks, just for your reference, I would sincerely suggest there's a 1.5 hours orientation program which talks about the course, which talks about why this course is important, your administrative queries in terms of the examination pattern, in terms of your registration, in terms of your examination fee. Everything sort of it is covered under the orientation program. So I would sincerely request that please look at the orientation program video so that you have a fair idea about the entire CIA course. Today, our first session, we will start directly with the first part. So we'll straight away jump into the content rather than discussing on the overall course aspect, because as I said, this is already covered earlier in the orientation program. Sincerely recommend you, it must be on your LMS. So there's a learning management system, 88 Learn, which is given by VGLD, wherein all the recorded videos, in fact, what we're covering today will also be uploaded on the LMS. You can use it for your future reference. So same way, orientation program video would already be there. How do you get the access to the URL? Please reach out to the VGLD team if you don't have, if you don't know already. Okay, so any administrative team can help you for that purpose. How do you get access to the LMS? Generally, each recorded video is uploaded within 48 hours. So orientation program was conducted a couple of days back. It would have already been uploaded by now. So you can look at the orientation program video. All right. So let's start with the first session, people. All of you are excited to start with the part one session. Can I quickly hear the word yes? Is everyone with me? Can I quickly see it on the chat box? As many yes possible. If 50 plus people, can I see it on chat box? Yes. Lovely. I want to see more yes, so that everyone is participative. Yes, lovely. Very good, everyone. Very good. So good, everyone. So let's start with the first part. So people, we have three parts in CIA. Part one, part two, part three. Part one is essential of internal auditing. We call it as foundation of internal auditing. We have total 8 chapters. It's a very, very simple 8 chapters that we are going to cover. So 8 chapters are divided into 6 sections. How many sections? Can you all say that? How many sections are there in part one? We have total 8 chapters and 6 sections. Can you all say that? 6 sections. Can you all say that, people? Yeah. Please unmute yourself and keep reading out with me. So retain some of it.
Sessions.
All right. So we're talking
Yes.
about 8 chapters and 6 sections. Now let's read this out. We have first section which starts with foundation of employing. This is where the basic starts.
Foundation
We'll
of
start with
internal auditing.
foundation of employing. Then we will talk about section 2, independence and objectivity. Section 3, we'll talk about proficiency and due professional care. Section 4, QAIP, which is quality assurance and improvement program. Section 5, governance, risk management and control. And section 6 is fraud risk. Basically, your learnings in the exam are evaluated around these 6 sections, people. Your scorecard is around these 6 sections. So the 6 sections that are coming in the exam are these 6 sections, and your in case your exam is passed, you will be given a pass result. But let's say if a person fail, in that case, the score is around this 6 sections, that whether you have performed, how well you have performed in each of these 6 sections. Section 1, whether you performed good, moderate, or you need significant improvement, the score come like that. So the result is evaluated around these 6 sections. All right. So we are going to do with part 1. We are going to cover the 8 chapters in this session series, which is going to be split around 6 sections. Now, this is foundation of employing, where we'll start with IPPF framework. Then we'll get into independence, objectivity, proficiency, due professional care. These are largely part of your attribute standards. And we'll talk about the QIP program. So these 4 sections, people, are cover this 4 section, the first 4 sections, section 1, 2, 3, and 4, covers in the examination 55% weightage tentatively. For how much weightage total? Section 1 to section 4, total 55% weightage. Can you all say that? How much total is the weightage between section 1 to section 4?
55%.
55%.
55%.
Section 5 GRC covers another people 35%. So how much does section 5 covers GRC? It covers
35%.
35%. And the last piece is fraud risk, which covers the balance 10% in the exam. So that's how the split it is. Let's look at it in terms of the units now. So folks, before getting into the units, this is going to be an MCQ based paper, no negative marking. In the part 1, we will get 125 questions. There is going to be a 2.5 hours exam. There's no break in it. You want to take a break, you can take it, but that will exhaust maybe 10 to 15 minutes of your examination time, and it will be counted as part of your time. So no negative marking. And you need to score above 80% to clear this exam. Your exam score gets printed right there as soon as you will submit and you step out of the center. The examination center, Pearson Q Center, Spock will give you this result right there after your examination is done. So that's how the exam is there. It's a 750 marks exam, all of the parts, and you have to score above 600. If you clear it, you get a pass score. If you don't clear it, you will get the exact score with the section-wise improvement that I spoke about. Now, folks, adding to it, Some of you may have a query, sir, how is the weightage in terms of the marks is given? Is 125 questions, 750 marks? Your examination, are we talking about 750 divided by 125, maybe let's say 5 marks per question? The answer is no, people. It's not like that. There is a scalability based on which the score is done. There is no clear written down clarity which says that, okay, each question will have this marks with this weightage. It depends on the background in terms of what algorithm institute runs, but there is no clear-cut mechanism to quantify the scorecard. Only thing is we can see, okay, pass is pass and fail is what is the percentage, what is the exact number they've got it. But I've personally taught over 1,000 students now, and we've seen people who scored even 599 in exam, which means 1 marks is less. Now there cannot be probably a question with the 1 marks also, right? And sometimes even in the exam you will see same question coming 2 times, right? So there could be check of mind presence, there could be check of various aspects in the examination. If you have to ask me, is there a clear-cut marking scheme that has been mentioned? The answer is we have to score above 600 to clear this exam, is the clear-cut message that the institute gives. There is no such divide by kind of a thing, per question each marks kind of a criteria that is given by IIA. Second thing, do you get your answer sheet to kind of look at where you have gone wrong? The answer is again no. There is no same answer sheet that comes to you for your review that, okay, you get to know where you have made the errors. Once you have submitted the exam, you will get a pass-fail result. That's it. Third question. People, a lot of you may ask, okay, sir, is it like a very structured exam? Like, let's say Reshma and Daya, all both of you are appearing on the same center on the same day, maybe at the same time. Will we get the same questions in the exam? The answer is absolutely no. The exam is such structured that anything can be asked from anywhere. So on the same day, same time, same center, even if you're attempting, high chances the questions will not be same. There will be different questions from Reshma, there will be different questions for there. Okay, another question. So let's say if I fail this exam next time, will I see the same questions coming in the exam? The answer is again no. Let's take an example. Maybe once the examination session is completed, series is completed, let's say you have attempted and you got most of the questions from different sections, and next time will you see the same questions, same pattern of the pattern? The questions could be same, but do we see same weightage, same number of questions, exactly same question in the exam? Again, the answer is no. Next time you'll have a fresh exam. It could be again asked from anywhere and anywhere. Okay, is it clear now? Are you clear with the examination pattern? We spoke about it. How much is the pass percentage? Can someone tell me? We have to score above 80%. Can you
80%.
answer that?
80%.
80%. Yeah. Is it going to be same MCQs in the exam? The answer is no. Is there any negative marking? The answer is yes or no? The answer is again no.
No.
Do we have a break in the exam? The answer is
No.
again no. There's no break in the exam. And again, you can take a break, but then you have to go through the again security checks at Pearson View Center, which takes maybe 5 to 7 minutes sometimes. All right. Are we clear? Can we give, okay, people in India, can we give this exam from the sitting at our house? The answer is no. We
No.
have to give Pearson. We have to go to the nearest Pearson View Center, wherever we are, to appear for this exam. We cannot be. So once you even log in, you will see there is an option to give from home. But don't get confused. In India, we can only give through Pearson View Center. So even if you get an option, don't go with it. Another last thing, people, if one fail this exam, one can reappear for the exam, but the cooling period is 30 days. So one can appear the same exam after 30 days, or after 30 days. Again, sometimes even people get an option to even immediately book it. Don't do that. There is a cooling period of 30 days, wait for 30 days and then only redo it. So that's all about the examination pattern and examination structure. Are we clear on this? Yes or no, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, lovely. Let's get this started, people. Now, let's talk about coming back on the 6 sections that we spoke about it. Total, how many sections? 6 sections. The first section was foundation of implementing. If you see, the first unit itself is foundation of implementing. This is section 1. Okay, this is section 1, foundation of implementing. This has 15% weightage in the exam. So a lot of questions can straight away be asked from.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Arpit,
Prashant, please.
is it possible to remove the participant list, because that's blocking the
Is it better now? Participant list, you're getting this participant list on the right side.
Yes, yes.
Is it better now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, great. I hope you all can see the screen. Can I get a quick confirmation? Is it clear now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's still there.
Still, okay, you can see the participation list. Okay, let me just put it this. Can you see it now?
Yeah, no, now it's gone.
Mm,
Yes.
Yes, this
Okay,
works
lovely.
better.
It's
All right,
it's minimal.
all right, great. Let's keep going, people. So the first section that we're talking, but by the way, can you all see me also still?
Yes. Yes.
All right, perfect. I'm not sure how will the recording come, whether they will be able to see me or not, but I'm just thinking it loud. Let me just see. Is this better?
If you
Let me see. Let me just see. If is this better now? I think this would be okay, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Right. All right, lovely. So I don't know if I can just stick to this. All right, leave it. Chalo, let's continue, folks. So unit one was section one, as I said, foundation of employing is going to be first section, which has 15% weightage. And then we spoke about people independence objectivity, which was second section, and then proficiency due professional care, the third section, and fourth section was QAIP. Do you remember that? The four sections are, can you all say that? The second section was independence and objectivity. Third section was, can you all read it? Proficiency and
professional care.
the section 4 is, can you all read it, everyone together? It is
Quality
quality.
assurance
Quality
and
assurance and improvement program.
Right. So this three sections are covered under how many units? Unit 2 and Unit 3, independence, objectivity, proficiency, due professional care, and QIP. So the two sections, rather three sections are covered only in Unit 2 and Unit 3, which has a tentative weightage of 40%. So precisely, people, the first three chapters itself contributes how much to the exam?
55%.
55% of the exam. So it's a very, very critical things that we'll be starting up today. That is what we're going to start with unit 1, but I'm going to give you the context that the first three chapters itself is 55% of the exam. In terms of the content, this is relatively less in size, people, and the weightage is far much higher. So if you see, the weightage is about 55% and the content is much less. But now let's talk about the 35%, which is section 5. What was section 5? Can you all say that? Section 5 is governance, risk
risk
management,
management
and
and control.
control. Section 5 has four chapters. Unit 4, Unit 5, Unit 6, Unit 7. Governance, risk management, control types and frameworks, and control application. The four chapters, this is huge in content. As compared to content between Unit 1 to Unit 3, the content from Unit 4 to Unit 7 is significantly more. But the weightage is how much? 35% in the exam. So governance, risk management, control types and frameworks, and control application is something that we'll study in the fifth section, and the weightage is 35%. And the last chapter is the last section, which is fraud risk, section 6, which is where we'll talk about Unit 8, fraud risk and controls, which has about a 10% weightage in the exam. Now, again, people, is this tentative in percentage, or these are fixed, like out of 125 into 15%, let's say 17 questions will come from Unit 1. Is it mandatory? The answer is again, no. These are indicative in nature, but largely this is the size that we see. Is it clear? Yes or no? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, lovely.
Yes.
So let's start with the first topic, foundation of internal auditing. People, in foundation of internal auditing, what are the things that we are going to learn? So we'll start with the first thing, which is called applicable guidance. People, we'll start with international professional practice framework. IPPF is something that will start about it. These are now in the new and upcoming days, which is from May 2025. Folks, this will be called as global employment standards. So this has been revised to something called global employment standards. Fundamentally, the logics and things are same, concepts are same. Some more clarity that we will cover in the class gets covered in the new standards itself. But otherwise, conceptually, everything is mostly same. It's just that instead of few terminologies, we are using different terminologies in the new global employment standard. But saying that people who are going to like, this is going to be September course. So till May 2025, we are not seeing any change in this syllabus. So it would be highly recommended that after the session series gets over, please appear for the exam as soon as possible, so that you may have to not read it again in terms of the new standards. But any which ways, if you read it conceptually, as I said, it's the same thing. It's just that the way of presentation and the flow is slightly different versus today, but saying that underlying concepts are same. Okay, clear? So we'll start with International Professional Practice Framework, people, IPPF, and then we'll understand the code of ethics. So wherein we will talk about introduction and principles. We'll talk about 4 types of code of ethics: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. These are the 4 code of ethics that we'll speak about it at length. And then we'll talk about something called as internal audit charter. Now, people, if you see, there's something called provision and something called basic. Now, this is what, again, each topic is being given in terms of a weightage, whether you need to have a proficient learning on it or whether you are okay to have a basic learning on it. But again, is there a classification to do between proficient and basic? The answer is no. You have to have a good conceptual understanding for this exam of CIA. All right, so the 7 subunits that we are going to cover, is it clear, everyone? We'll start with IPPF, we'll start with introduction and principles. What are the code of ethics? What are its principles? And then we'll talk about the 4 code of ethics. What are the 4 code of ethics? Can you all say that? Integrity, objectivity,
Objectivity,
confidentiality, competency.
and competency. And the last piece that we're going to talk about is the charter, audit charter. Right. So this is what we're going to cover, in fact, and we'll try to cover as much as it as possible today. So people, now let me just take you through that. What more are you going to read and what more you're going to understand? So as I said, this unit is how much weightage? Tentatively, can anyone tell me what was the tentative weightage for this?
15%.
15%, which is a good weightage in the exam. So you can see a lot of questions in the on this topic in the exam. So people, the first thing that we'll start with is applicable guidance, IPPF. This is where we will talk with first thing, that what is the mission of internal auditing? Why do we even exist? Why is internal audit function there in the company? What is expected out of them? All right. So what is the mission of internal auditing is something that we're going to talk about it. Then we are going to talk about what does IPPF contains. So there are a few things in IPPF. We'll talk about what does IPPF contains. There are 4 things basically in IPPF. So basically IPPF, we have mandatory guidance and recommended guidance. In mandatory guidance, we have 4 things: definition, core principles, standards, and code of ethics. All of this is important, people. Definition, core principles, standards, and code of ethics, all of those are important. That's why it's underlined. So we'll talk about what is internal auditing, what are the core principles, what are the different types of standards in internal auditing, what are the different code of ethics, the 4 code of ethics which we just spoke about it. Once we have understood this, then we'll go on to code of ethical conduct for professionals. And now this is where we'll say, why is the code of ethics exist? What is the primary purpose of code of ethics? This is something again, why these slides are important. One, it is helping you to understand what are we going to learn critically. Second, once we have understood the concept, we'll come back on the slide and see, okay, do we understand mission? Do we understand definition? Okay, can anyone tell me what are the key words for definition? Okay, what are the code of ethics? How do we differentiate between the two, between all of them? What are the different types of standard? What do we understand? So these slides are reflection to the important points also. I mean, as you go with the first, because this is your first session, you will understand why the slides are important as we move forward and we come back on the slide at the later part of the session series. People, as I said, the first thing, applicable guidance, this is something that we're going to understand. Then we are going to understand under code of ethics conduct, we are going to talk about what is the primary purpose of this code of ethics, in order to enhance the value of the code of ethics, what it should contain. And then what are the 4 code of ethics: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, competency. This is something that we're going to talk about it. After this, people, we are also going to talk about it is to whom are these code of ethics applicable? Are these only applicable to CIAs? Are these applicable to practicing employers? Whom are these applicable? And then understanding principles. We'll also talk about in which scenarios we'll talk that there is a violation to integrity, violation to objectivity, violation to code of conduct, violation to confidentiality, violation to competency. We will talk about certain examples. And then finally, we'll talk about employee charter, wherein we'll talk about what is purpose, authority, responsibility, and what are the things that should be recognized in an employee charter. This is something that we're going to learn critically. Are we clear what we are going to learn in today's session, people? Everyone, yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
People,
sir.
now what will be our approach? Our approach will be, first, we will cover the entire content understanding via slides. Okay. So critical content we'll understand via slides, and then we'll go back on the GLIM content, and then we'll read word by word GLIM content. And wherever GLIM content is critical, we'll highlight that. Is that clear? What is our approach, everyone? There are 60 plus people. Can I see more and more? Yes, people. Now we are actually getting into the content. So are you all with me? Can I quickly see yes, more yes, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, people. So let's start with very basic. The very basic is the structure in a company. So how is the structure placed in a company, people? We have on the top of the company the board of directors. We have on the top of the company, which is called board of directors. Board of directors is nothing but the governing body. Governing body, or those people who are in charge with governance. We would have understood there is a word called TCWG, those in charge with governance, right? So board of directors are the topmost people in the company. Are the board of directors are the people who look at day-to-day management of the company? Is it CEO, CFOs are the board of directors? The answer is no, people. CEO, CFO, CXOs are the folks from the management who look at day in, day out operations, right? Who have further team members within them, but these are folks from management level. The board of directors are governing body. There's a difference between management and governing body. Who is part of management and who is part of governing body? Can someone tell me? Governing body includes the board of directors. Can
Board
you all
of
say that?
Directors.
It is the
Board
board
of
of directors.
Directors.
Board of directors is the governing body. People who are not speaking, please put it on the chat box. Otherwise, so who is part of the governing body? It is the board of
Board
directors.
of
And
Directors.
Board
who
of
is and,
directors.
and who is part of the management? It is the
CEO,
CEO,
CFO,
CFO, CXO, right?
CXO.
Right, so these are CXOs are part of the management. Now so now we all know, right, there are different department in companies. Like we will have a purchase function, we'll have a sales function, we'll have an IT function, we'll have marketing, production, logistics, stores, admin, customer support, HR, maybe projects team. We'll have these kind of different functions, and this is something that you'll see in any industry, be it service, be it manufacturing, be it any like e-commerce. Any industry you will see there will be a purchase, sales, finance, IT. These are common business functions that you will see in any company, irrespective of the skill size they have. It could be few lesser people managing more functions. In a more larger company, you will see this more segregated and more managed by different people, right? But generally, employers do what? Employers will do audit of these areas: purchase, sales, finance, IT, marketing, production, logistics, all of them. Yes or no? Do you all agree with me? As an employer, our responsibility is to audit these functions, right? Now, people, if you see, ultimately, our reporting relationship is dual. We call it as dual reporting relationship, functionally and administratively. Our dual reporting relationship is functionally and administratively, functionally to the board of directors and administratively to the CEO of the company, as an administratively to the management of the company, who is the CEO. So what is our reporting relationship? Can anyone tell me? It is dual reporting. Can you all say that? It is dual reporting relationship.
Dual report.
Dual reporting. Within dual reporting relationship, we are reporting functionally and administratively, functionally to the board of directors and administratively to the CEO. Right? Now, people, what is dual reporting? How is it helping? A lot of things we'll talk about it when we'll move forward, when we'll talk about things like independence. That is where you will understand this more at length, that why this role is very, very important. But just to give you some flavor, what is functional and what is administrative? Functional reporting means who will appoint. I'll give you a couple of examples so that you can just understand at this point of time, because you've seen this word functional reporting and administrative. But I'll give you some example. Who will appoint the CAE of the company, chief audit executive of the company? Should it be appointed by the board of directors or should be appointed by the CEO, CFO of the company? The standard says that it should be appointed by the board of directors. And why is it saying? Why is it saying that the company chief audit executive should be appointed by the board of directors? In order to ensure more and more independence, people. Let's take an example. If the CEO, CFO appoints an employers, the employer themselves can be biased. Do you all agree with me? Yes or no? Employer can be a biased employer. Okay, let's say if the compensation is decided by the CEO, CFO of the company, compensation of the employer. Again, if someone is deciding my compensation directly, indirectly, he or she is my boss. Yes or no? If he or she is my boss indirectly, let's say if the boss is doing something incorrect, can I take it forward to the board? It will be very, very difficult. So that's the reason, in order to ensure independence, we should have a dual reporting relationship, which is functionally to the board. So as part of my functional reporting relationship, it is the board who appoints the CAE. It is the board who decide on the compensation. It's the board who terminate the CAE. It's the board who will approve the audit plan. All of that is part of the functional reporting. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes. And what
Yes,
is
sir.
administrative reporting? My day-to-day conversation. Okay, I have to start this audit and this area. Okay, I have to hire one team member in my team. Principally, my resource planning has been approved by the board, but I now need to recruit a senior consultant in my team. Instead of going, do I need to go to the board to take an approval to appoint a senior auditor in my team? No, those administrative thing I can do it with the CEO. Are we clear now? What is the difference between functional reporting and administrative reporting broadly? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right,
Yes, sir.
great,
Arpit, can you
lovely.
please explain again functional? I just missed it somewhere.
Please call out your name. That is
It's Anjana.
okay, Anjana. So Anjana, functional reporting is basically where we are um, uh, things like, for example, appointment of chief audit executive, approving the employee plan, deciding on the compensation of the CAE. These are part of functional reporting, wherein the board appoints the CAE, board decides the compensation that needs to be paid to the CAE, board approves the employee plan for the year. It is not the CEO, CFO who does it. The reason is why? Independence, right? Otherwise, CEO will never want a sales process to be audited. CFO will never want a finance and accounts process to be audited, right? Because CFO is heading the finance, CEO is heading the sales and marketing, right? Most likely. So so who approves the audit plan? It is the board who has to approve the audit plan. It is if CEO, CFO decides, okay, this one person should be the employer. In that case, what happens is it could be biasness. If the CFO decides the compensation package of the internal auditor, and I mean, CFO, CEO can propose, but ultimately approval has to go with from the board. It's the board who has to appoint the employers. That is part of functional reporting, and administrative is day-to-day discussion that we have. For example, we have to kick off finance audit, or we have to kick off production audit. So we'll engage CEO and let him know that, okay, we are starting production audit and we need administrative support from the team. For, let's say, if I have to recruit someone in my team, I may tell my requirement to HR, and then I can interview, and then finally who will approve it? It will be the CEO, CFO can approve my team, but not the CIE. Is it clear now?
Yeah, sure, got it. Thank you.
All right, great. So people, I
Just
hope you have understood broadly the structure. Yes or no? Are we clear? Can we move forward? Yes or no?
Yes.
just
Yeah.
just need
All right.
Yes.
All right.
hello.
People, now
Yes, sir.
let's. Yeah. Is there a doubt? I'll.
We just need to ask one thing. The
Yeah.
resource
Please go
planning is
ahead.
approved by the hello.
Yeah. So broadly, yes, because as part of the employed plan, the resource plan, the broader resource plan that, okay, this is the employed plan that I'll be executing for the year. And for this, I'll need, let's say, 3 consultants, 2 managers kind of a thing. Broadly, the resource plan would be approved by the board, right? But day to day, now once the plan is approved, sort of that, okay, need 3 senior consultants, but let's say the positions are vacant, then it's on the internal auditor to kind of decide who will be the right person based on the skill set that a person will bring in and what is lacking in the team, and what the organization needs or what the internal team needs, and then accordingly we'll put it forward for CEO, CFO approval. Okay, clear? Makes sense? That is more like an administrative work, day-to-day task.
Is it mentioned in internal audit charter? If I'm not wrong.
So I'll cover. I don't want to jump at this moment, Faisal, on the employee charter. What is the charter? What does it cover? We'll cover at length. Don't worry. Just take some pause. This topic is going to be covered at length when we are going to cover independence as a topic. We'll cover more and more detail about it. It doesn't end here. There are so many other things that comes under the functional reporting and administrative reporting. What I was trying to share was very little limited of glance because we have seen 2 words. Okay.
Sure.
So I'll request you to take some pause, and I don't want to jump because there is more to cover. I mean, I don't want to even talk about charter at this moment because charter, I will show you how a charter looks like for a couple of companies, and then we will understand what is important in charter, what does it cover, everything around it. Don't worry, give me some time. Okay. All right. So for Hemant is saying functional and administrative reporting will also to be board and to this and not to CEO. No, Hemant. Functional reporting to the board, administrative reporting to the CEO. Is it clear? So functional reporting to the board, administrative reporting to the CEO. All right. Now let's move on to the first piece of it. That was more in terms of the structure of the organization and how is employed positioned. Now we are going to read is IPPF. IPPF stands for International Professional Practice Framework. Can you all say that, everyone, with me? What does IPPF stand for? IPPF stands for
International Professional Practice Framework.
Practice framework.
Very good. IPPF contains two things, mandatory guidance and recommended guidance. Can you all say that? IPPF contains what? Mandatory guidance?
Mandatory guidance and recommended guidance.
Recommended guidance.
People, if you see on the top of it is mission of employing. Mission is, what is mission of employing, something that we'll understand. Then we'll talk about mandatory guidance. Within mandatory guidance, we have four things. The first one is definition, core principles, standards, and code of ethics. Can you all say that? What are the four mandatory guidance?
Core
Definition,
principles,
core principles, standards, code of ethics.
core principles, definitions, standards, and code of ethics. Lovely. Now, people, under the recommended guidance, we have implementation guidance and we have supplemental guidance. So for the exam purpose, we'll only focus on mandatory guidance, which is definition, core principles, standards, and code of ethics. Implementation guidance, we'll see reference of implementation guidance in the content when we'll read. People, supplemental guidance are something like where there are practice papers that are being issued by the IIA on a regular basis. Let's say if you have to audit AI, if you have to audit CSR, if you have to audit, let's say, any other particular area, there could be a position paper, or there could be a a detailed supplemental guidance note that may have been published by IA, which is recommendatory that, okay, if you're doing, let's say, an AI audit or a cybersecurity audit, or let's say you're auditing a CSR, corporate social responsibility area, what are the things you should probably take care? So that is part of your supplemental guidance that is separately, that could be published differently by the IIA, Institute of Employers, as part of their supplemental guidance. Implementation guidance is nothing but it further elaborates and everything in terms of what is written in mandatory guidance. So we'll talk about the definition, core principles, standards, and code of ethics. People, you can say implementation guidance, we'll talk about standards, and then we'll understand more implementation guidance. But at this point of time, for examination purpose, we have to remember four things: definition, core principles, standard, and code of ethics. So the four piece which is part of our mandatory guidance is very, very important. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? What are the four things which is part of mandatory guidance? Everyone? Four things
core
are
principles,
Definitions,
definition.
core
standards,
principles,
code of
standards,
ethics.
code of ethics.
Very good. Now let's
So,
start
sir,
with the
is
first.
the implementation guidance, the recommendation guidance, a part of a syllabus, or it
No,
or it
so
is
it
not
just
at all?
says it is not part of the syllabus. It just says that, okay, for the exam purpose, we need to just remember the mandatory guidance. There's nothing implementation guidance, supplemental guidance is not part of the CIA syllabus. Okay,
Okay.
clear? All
Yeah.
right, great,
Yes.
lovely. So Mithun is asking, or the supplementary guidance on IA portal. Mithun, you can see IIA resources on the IA website. As an IA member, you will get you can look at the under the resources. You will see a lot of position papers, a lot of guidance notes, and those are all supplemental guidance. So yes, you can see it. Some of it could be paid, some of it could be free of cost, provided you are an IA member. Suresh is asking, is there an exhaustive list of supplemental guidance provided by IA? Suresh, you can, as I said, you can just do a Google search, put into IA website, go into resource section, you will see a lot of position papers and articles and various things on it. That is nothing but that is supplementary guidance that you can refer to when you're doing something. Okay, clear? All right, great. And in fact, this is coming differently now. As I think I've covered this just now, right? Mithun, this is on the IA portal, right? Okay, lovely. So lovely. Let's move forward, people. So let's start with the first thing, which is now mission of employing. What is our mission? Why do internal audit function exist in a company? What is the mission of employers, folks? So our mission is what? Our mission is to enhance and protect organization value. How do we do it? By providing risk-based objective assurance, advice, and insight. So these are few keywords that we need to understand. And every word has its own meaning, people. And we'll talk about that. So what is the mission of employing? Can you all just read out the highlight section? Mission of employing is to
Enhance and protect organizational value and objective assurance, advice, and insight.
And objective assurance, advice, and insight.
Right, lovely. Now, people, if you read one by word, carefully, slowly, mission of employing, it says, our mission is to enhance and protect organizational value. We take a pause here. So what are we trying to do in organization? We are trying to enhance and protect both. We are trying to enhance as well as protect organization value. Can you all say that slowly? Our role as a we are trying to enhance
We are
and
trying to enhance
protect
and
organization
protect organizational value.
right? Hold on. Now what we do is, how do we do it? Should we start getting into management shoes and start doing things? The answer is no. Our role as an employer is risk based. Our role as an employer is to look at what? To look at risk aspects in the company, right? So we will enhance and protect organizational value. How? By providing risk based objective assurance advice and insight. Now, what is risk based objective assurance and advice? People, we can do two types of assignments. We call it two types of engagement. One is assurance and the second is consulting. What are the two types of engagements that we do? Assurance and consulting. Right? So advice and insight is consulting. Assurance is assurance. The internal audits that we do is assurance. Let's say if you're giving a training on risk management in the company, that is more like a consulting engagement. Of course, we'll cover all of this at length, but at this point of time, are you getting it? In assurance, what we do? We go and do audit. In consulting, what we do? We give training, right? One simple example, I'm giving you one simple example where we give what? We give training. So should we start giving training on anything? Should we start training people on, let's say, for example, what is the leave policy in the company? Is that our role or is that is HR role?
HR role.
Right. So what we should do? Should we start doing the bank reconciliation statement in the company? Is it our role to do a BRS or it will be a finance team role to do a BRS? Finance team will have to do the BRS, right? But can we give training to the people that, okay, these are the critical risks, these are the critical controls that you should be having. We can recommend them. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Right. So people, this is our role. So what is our role? Now let's try to understand once again. We will enhance and protect what? We will enhance and protect organization value. By doing what? By providing risk-based objective assurance. What is objective? We'll talk about it later, but we'll give objective assurance, advice and insight. So our work should be risk-based, audit and consulting. Clear everyone now? Yes or no? Are we clear on the mission of learning? Lovely.
Yes. Clear.
People, when it says objective, at this point of time, remember objective means unbiased. Can you all say that? It is unbiased. Can you all say that? Objective is unbiased. So now if you read the word, to enhance and protect organization value by providing risk-based unbiased assurance. Of course, will you like to give a bias assurance? Like, can you give a bias assurance? Let's say if you are auditing a friend or a relative, do you think it is a bias assurance? There's a conflict of interest? Will it make sense?
Yes.
Right. So it should be objective assurance, which means unbiased assurance, unbiased advice, unbiased insight. That is our role. Clear now, everyone? Yes or no? Are we clear on the words?
Yes.
So I think we are clear with mission of employing. Now let's move on. Facilitating the achievement of this mission is the IPPF. So if we follow the complete IPPF, which means we follow the definition, which we follow the core principles, we follow the definition, we follow the standards, we follow the code of ethics. It means if we follow all of them, people, we will be able to achieve this mission. Basically, that's what it says, that if we want to achieve the mission, if we follow IPPF, it means that we will be able to enhance and protect organization value. Okay, so that's about mission. Now let's start with the first thing. Another important first aspect of let's talk about the first aspect of people the mandatory guidance, which is definition of internal auditing. But before that, I think we have a couple of doubts on the chat box. Let me see. Chani is asking, enhance means participate? Not really participate. Enhance means we are trying to improve. We are trying to improve organization value by suggesting better processes, better ways of working. So that is mostly, Chani, you can see enhance means improving, helping organization improve rather than participate. Just saying to enhance and protect. Okay, that's good. Suresh is asking, is determination of CIE role for assurance and advice is suggested by the board of directors or management? CIE role for assurance or advice is suggested by board of directors or management. Again, this is something that we'll talk about. The role, the CIE role. In fact, not CIA. We should say CAE role, Chief Audit Executive role, or the internal audit responsibilities. People will talk about it. Suresh, again, we'll talk about it when we'll cover employee charter. Okay, employee charter actually covers purpose, authority, responsibility. Within responsibility, what is our role is something that will be covered. Okay, we'll cover at that point of time, Suresh.
I have a question. Can same
Yeah,
person
just please call out your
perform
name and go ahead so that everyone knows who is
Faisal?
speaking. Yeah,
Yeah,
Faisal,
Faisal.
please go ahead.
Arpit, can same person perform both consulting and assurance?
Yes, both same can perform, but there are a lot of lot of things that we'll talk about it. What type of consulting we can provide, what type of assurance we'll provide, in which case this can lead to conflict. So there's much more to detail to it. Who can perform, when can perform, which will lead to conflict, which will not lead to conflict. What are different things covered under assurance? What are different things covered under consulting? We'll cover a lot in detail. It doesn't end here. It is just the starting point that we are telling that, okay, today, as an employer, we can do assurance and consulting. What are the different types of things that we do in assurance? What are the different types of things that we do in consulting? What we should not do in consulting? What will lead to conflict? Everything will cover it as we move forward. Okay.
Arpit's one question is here. It is out of the box. I just wanted to understand difference between the statutory audit and internal audit. Just the concept, because I'm
Okay.
not of audit.
Okay. I would sincerely request everyone asking the question, please call out your name first and then go ahead with the question so that we can
Sorry,
address
this
you
is
better
Anjana.
and everyone would know who is speaking, right? Very good. So Anjana, very basic statutory audit. Internal audit purpose statement itself is different. Statutory audit is to basically, uh, in a way, it's to certify the financial statements of the company by an independent uh, practicing CA firm in India. And if it goes to other globally, it would be, let's say, independent CPA firm, or we call it public accounting firm also, right? So it needs the financial statements are prepared by the company and it needs to be reviewed and audited by the independent auditors. One has to be practicing CA in India to do it. That independent audit report is published to the shareholders of the company, right? The stakeholders we call them, and it's used for listing, filings, all of that purposes. Internal audit is more from an internal standpoint of view for the company. How do we look at the process? How we look at the reporting? How we look at compliance? How we try to improve operate processes and efficiencies? Everything around it is done from an internal audit perspective. It's more like to support the management to bring efficiencies in their processes. And also it is in India, if you see, it is mandatory for companies having a turnover beyond 200 crores annually, or borrowings which is beyond X amount of crores. So there are certain rules in India which has to be followed for internal audit. Like from a company standpoint of view, if these are the nature of the companies, they will have to have the audit done. Second thing, if you see, Anjana, this is also internal audit. Is also giving employee reports are also looked by the stat auditors, because stat auditors will largely focus on the financials and overall aspect of it. They would also refer to the employee report and they will see that, okay, if there are certain critical things which employers have highlighted and which they need to consider when they are forming an opinion. So all of that comes in place, right? Basically, stat auditor is basically more compliance in terms of that annual audit needs to be done, it needs to be published, and the users are generally the shareholders. Like any independent, like even today, I can just download a stat audit report of any company which is listed, right? Be it Reliance, be it Tata. I can just go online and I can download the statutory audit report, audited financials, based on which I will decide whether I want to buy, invest. All of those things could be there, right? But internal audit report, if you see, it's only accessible to the management. It doesn't get published to the shareholders. It is limited to reporting to the audit committee, reporting to the management audit committee. So it is not publicly available. Make sense now?
Which means the internal audit is within the organization.
Yes, internal audit is basically done in order to enhance and protect organizational value, to improve the organization processes for the organization. But a statutory auditor is done, which is accessible to the larger audience in terms of the shareholders and everyone, so that they can look at that these are the audited financials. It's not that the management is saying that, okay, they have done a 10,000 crore. An auditor, an audit team has also checked that, yes, they have done 10,000 crore. So that helps them to decide in terms of various aspects, right? In terms of how the company is doing, investing, everything around it. Not just that, even the government in terms of the compliances would also look at it. Maybe income tax department, GST department, all of them. Make sense?
Yeah, got it. Thank
All
you.
right. So the focus is more on the financial statements. in the stat audit, while in the employed, the focus is more on the processes. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you,
All right,
Arpit.
lovely. All right, great. So coming back on people, I hope we are understood the mission. Now we are going to understand the definition of employing. So what is the definition of employing people? Again, if you will see people, a lot of that we've talked about section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you see, much of it is coming from the definition itself. So if you read out what is employing, one, employing is an independent, objective, assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve organization operations. It helps an organization accomplish its objectives by bringing a systemic discipline approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of GRC process in a company. What is GRC? Governance, risk management, and control. So what are the keywords here? Can you all just read out the highlighted words, people? In employing definition, what are
Independent,
the keywords?
objective, assurance,
Independent, objective,
consulting,
assurance,
add value,
consulting, added value,
risk
risk
management, control, and
management, control, and
governance.
governance.
People, if I go back on what we have understood in terms of this section, is that lovely we are talking about? We are talking about independent, objective, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
We are going to talk about assurance and consulting more at length in employee charter, but that's part of assurance and consulting, which is there in the first unit. And then ultimately what are we trying to do by giving independent, objective, assurance and consulting activity? We are trying to add value. What is the keyword in definition of employing? It is add
Add
value. Can you all say that?
Value.
People,
Add
this
value.
this word itself is very, very important. What is the key word in the definition of employing? Is it independent? Is it objective? Is it assurance? Is it consulting? Or is it add value? The answer is it is add value. Ultimately, internal audit team has to add value. And what are the areas we are going to talk about it? We're going to talk about governance, risk management, control process, right? So as I said, most of the things that we are going to talk about as we move forward is actually about these words that we have highlighted in the definition itself. We'll talk about independent at length, we'll talk about objectivity at length, we'll talk about assurance at length, we'll talk about consulting at length, we'll talk about risk management at length, we'll talk about control at length, we'll talk about governance at length. Today, if I ask you what is the difference between governance and risk management, I can tell you many of you will not be able to answer. Even if I ask you what is risk management, many of you may not be able to tell me what is exactly risk management. But of course, as we move forward, people will go step by step. I cannot cover everything in the first session itself. We have a detailed chapter on governance, we have a detailed chapter on risk management, we have a detailed chapter on controls. So all of it will boil down to our understanding on these aspects once we have covered the complete all 8 chapters, and all of this will fundamentally get cleared. But slowly and gradually we'll understand this. But today, what are the definition of auditing? So again, I would request you all to read that. Internal auditing is what? It is an independent, objective,
Independent,
Assurance
objective,
and
assurance,
consulting
and
activity
consultancy
designed to
activities
add value
Value and
designed to
improve
add
improve
value
an
and
organization's
improve an
operations.
organization
It helps an
operating. It
organization
helps an
accomplish its
organization
objective by
accomplish
bringing a
its objective by bringing
systematic
a
discipline
systematic
approach to
discipline
evaluate and
approach to
improve the
evaluate and
efficiency
improve
of
the
risk
efficiency,
management,
effectiveness
controls, and
of
governance
risk management, control,
process.
and governance process.
lovely. All right. Megha is asking, sir, where will I get study material shared on screen by you, not mentioned in my book? Very good, Megha. Good question. So people, a lot of things that will cover on the slides, maybe more than the glim also. So these slides will be shared with you all. You don't have to take out any screenshot or any notes as such. People, you will get this PPT slides directly on the LMS. So along with this session, there will be documents that would be uploaded that will include the PPT slides. And in fact, something more, let's say if you'll see employee charter, how employee charter looks like, that will also be there for your visibility later on. Only thing that will not be there on the LMS would be the GLIM book. Let's say the GLIM book that we are going to cover in the class, even if you've highlighted, I would sincerely request you to highlight then and there. Don't assume that we will be uploading the GLIM book also online. There are copyright issues, and for that reason, we cannot upload the GLIM content on the LMS. But the slides that I'm showing you on the class will be uploaded on the LMS for your reference. Is that clear, everyone? Yes or no? Is that clear, Megha? Good question.
Yes, sir.
Suresh is asking, will
Yes,
I
yes.
function always provide consulting or it is optional? Suresh, I'll cover this later. Don't worry, we'll cover all of your questions on assurance and consulting later. For now, let's go with the flow of the class. I'll cover everything. What is mandatory? What is not mandatory? When can we say yes? When can we say no? we'll cover much more we'll talk about more things on assurance and consulting, and this is a very, very important topic, so I'll not leave it. There's a lot of questions that is asked in the examination is to differentiate between assurance and consulting alone. So it's going to be a very lengthy topic, and we'll practice more than like 40-50 questions only on to differentiate between assurance and consulting. So allow me some time. We'll cover a lot on assurance and consulting. Okay. All right. So I hope you're clear. So people, now we have understood two things. Mission of auditing, it is to enhance and protect organization value by providing risk-based objective assurance, advice, and insight. And we've talked about definition of auditing. The keyword are it has to be independent, it has to be objective, it has to add value, it includes assurance, consulting. And then which areas do we work on? Should we start procuring for the company? Should we start doing sales for the company? Should we start implementing IT for the company? Or should we start hiring people for the company? Is that our role, or our role is to more enhance things around governance, risk management, and control? Our role is to more look at governance, risk management, and control, right? GRC section. Is it clear, everyone? Lovely. Yes or no? Yes. All right. Very good.
Yes.
People, so with that, we have understood the definition of auditing also. Now let's talk about the core principles. People, core principles. Now it says that, okay, you don't have to memorize these core principles. People, you don't have to memorize the definition like word to word, because this is an MCQ based exam. But the keywords you should know. Okay, you should know that in definition of auditing, there's something like a keyword which is add value. This is most key word in the definition of auditing, right? Which are the areas we work on? We work on governance, management, and control. It's not that we'll start procuring for the company, right? Our function should be independent. We should be objective in working. We should do insurance and consulting activities. So these things we should do. And of course, as we move forward, we'll understand each of these words. What is independence? What is objective? What is assurance? What is consulting? What is governance? What is risk management? What is control? Each word we'll understand more at length. Okay. Let's move forward, people. Now, the next section is core principles. People, the core principles, now as an employer, again, you don't have to memorize these core principles, but we should demonstrate integrity in our work. We should demonstrate competence of what we are doing, and we should work with due professional care. We should be objective and free from influence. We should be independent. Our employed practices should align with the strategies, objectives, and risk of the organization. We should be appropriately positioned and adequately resourced. What is appropriately positioned? People, we've just now covered. What is appropriately positioned? Employer should be, when can we say it is appropriate?
Independent.
Yes. Appropriately positioned means we should be independent. And how does the independence come? When we have the dual reporting relationship. And what is dual reporting? Functionally to the
Functional and administrative.
Functional
and administrative.
And functionally is to whom? Functionally is to
board
us.
director.
Functionally to board of directors,
Administrative to the
CFO.
CEO of the company, right? So that is appropriately position. Adequately resource means we should be adequately resourced. We should have resources in team. We should demonstrate quality and continuous improvement. We should be able to demonstrate quality in our work. We should continuously improve. We should communicate effectively. We should provide risk-based assurance. We should be insightful, proactive, and future-focused. And we should promote organization improvement. So can I request you all to please read once what are the core principle, people? We should demonstrate integrity,
demonstrate competency and due objective and free from influence with the strategies, objectives, and risk of the organization, is appropriately positioned, adequately resourced, maintains quality and continuous improvement, communicates effectively, provides risk-based assurance, is insightful, proactive, and future-focused, promotes organizational improvements.
Okay. Faisal is asking when IPPF implemented. So you're asking in an organization, or when did this came actually, Faisal? So just to answer, IPPF was launched back in like this. The IPPF that we are referring is a 2017 IPPF. There could be an older version, and I said recently in 2024, we will also have the new global audit standards coming in, which is it has recently got published. But as I said, fundamentals are same, and the concepts that we are understanding is going to be same. But saying that this may be an older version. I know till 2017 as well. When is it said as implemented in the company? I will cover in QAIP topic. I know people, there's a lot of questions in your mind, and a lot of questions will be there. But trust me, as you go step by step, I'll clear every word that is written in this book. this content, because actually I'm here to help you to understand each word. If you understand each of these words, that is when you will clear this exam. It is not a memory exam. It is not something you need to memorize for the exam. Only you need to understand, and every word is important for that matter. So don't worry, even when you're seeing integrity here, you're seeing competence here, you're seeing due professional here, you're seeing objectivity here, you're seeing independent here, every word we are going to talk about it at length. This itself is huge in nature. This itself is huge in nature. That's why I'm just helping you to understand the words at this moment. As we move forward today, in today's session itself, people, you will understand these words: integrity, objectivity, competency, due, not due professional care, confidentiality. These are few keywords you will understand in today's session itself. Just give me 2 hours of time and all of these concepts will be clear. Give me 2 hours of time. Okay. So, but for now, appropriately position are clear. Everyone is clear with one word at least, right? Appropriately position, everyone is clear, right? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, yes.
Very good.
Appropriate
People, there is,
position is nothing but like the internal auditor should be independent, right? That's what we
yes,
define.
independent.
The
And
reporting part.
how does the independence come? You can say very good. Appropriately position means that it should be independent, right? Positioning means internal audit should be such position that it should be able to meet its responsibilities independently, right? If they're
Yeah.
able to, how will they do it? They will do it through
Well,
dual reporting relationship. And what is dual reporting relationship? Functionally to the board, administratively to the CEO,
Manager,
right?
see.
Ratan is asking, sir, is only name IPPF replaced by the global employment standards? I will not take this spark, Ratan, saying that IPPF has just been replaced by the name. There is additional things that have been added to the global employment standards. The structure itself has been changed. So we are calling it more in terms of principle domain-based thing. So there's a domain, there are principles, there are standards to it, rather than what we learn in the class today, which is the upcoming piece. But fundamentally, if you look at the standards, these are the same standards that we'll understand. Conceptually, it's almost the same. Few incremental minor things are there, nothing very major. I have taken a couple of sessions for IIA on telling what is IPPF and what is the global employment standard. Don't worry, we'll cover somewhere in the slides just that you are aware what is coming and how do we read the new content. If you get a chance and if you want to really look forward to implement it in your company also, we'll cover that maybe later. But at this point of time, let's understand our fundamentals. I'll take one session on how does the new global employment standards have to be read, talk about, though it may not be relevant for the exam, but it's very good to understand from a practical eye lens, because these days every employment function, and especially the organization who are US based, will always talk about global employment standards. So it's good for you to know. We'll cover it later. Let's understand our foundation for today on the IPPF. Once we have gone through one chapter on, like first we have gone through 1, 2, and 3. First 3 chapters on the IPPF, which covers the first section of the standards, attribute standards. Then before we start the 4th chapter, we will look at how the new global audit standards also look like. Okay, will that be okay? Yes or no? Yes?
I
All
had
right,
a
lovely.
question. This is Reshma here.
Please go ahead, Reshma.
Yes. So internal audit, we have to be unbiased and we have to give our opinion. So when we are
Very
being
good.
unbiased and we are giving our independent opinion about the company, what are the controls they are performing and everything, then why the statutory audit has to be done again?
Oh, okay. Very good. So Reshma, see, first of all, the role itself is very different. Internal auditor is looking at more from a ORC standpoint, of which is operations, reporting, and compliance, right? It could be internal reporting, it could be external reporting, it could be compliances, it could be operations. Our focus is how do we improve operations, processes all the time, all right? Statutory auditor doesn't is not bothered about how well the operations are working or not. I mean, other than thinking it from a audit standard standpoint of view, okay, going concern is not getting impacted. The numbers that are reflecting on the financial statement, if you see, um, okay, let me put it this way. If you see the financial numbers that are presented in the financial statement, right, from your sales to procurement to expenses, all of that is the focus area of the statutory auditor. Statutory auditor is seeing that, okay, the financials that are the company is preparing and what they're reporting actually has occurred, actually is at the correct value, actually is complete in nature, right? So they look at the financial assertions, basically accurate, complete, valuation, These aspects, they look at it and they see, and they certify that the financial statements, whatever the company is reporting, is true and fair. So that is the statutory auditor aspect. Internal auditor aspect is not just financial statements, right? Finance and accounts is the area where we can audit, but we don't audit statutory auditors' work. We don't go and see, okay, whether statutory audit was properly conducted or not. Our area is to look at, okay, how the efficiencies can be bring in the processes. Let's take an example. If let's take an example, if something which is manual in nature, can it be automated? Something which is automated, whether the right automation controls are working or not. So our learnings and our areas of focus are on the processes, on the systems, on the improvement opportunities. We are not just focusing whether the financial statements are true and fair. That is the statutory auditor's job to kind of certify. So that's how the difference is.
Okay, got it. Yeah,
Make
thank
sense?
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Sir,
All right. All right, great. So people, with that, we have understood three critical things: mission, definition, core principles. Do you need to remember 10 core principles you need to learn by heart? The answer is no, right? So you just need to read 1, 2, 3 times, and then you will understand. Now, people,
sir,
there is an important, yeah, please go ahead.
sir,
Please go
I
ahead.
am Chandni.
Okay, please go ahead, Chani.
Sir, I am telling that I have completed. You have given the CIA Part 3 lecture, na?
Mhm.
At first time I have
Okay,
attended.
okay.
So I want to attend. This is new lecture, na, sir?
Yes, this is a part 1 session series, Chani.
So sir, I have to attend the, yeah, I have to given CI 3 part exam. Then I have to attend this lecture. I am
It's
confusing in this.
Chani, let's take this query separately, please. So this is the session going on. I cannot get into these questions. I'm sorry. If you want to attend, you can attend it precisely. If you want to focus on part 3, you can go with part 3. But I think I've responded to the query on the WhatsApp also yesterday. I don't know why this query is coming again. I've already reverted to you yesterday. I would sincerely
Uh,
request, please avoid these queries at this
Sir,
moment. Let me go with the flow.
this is new lecture, na? New batch, na? This is.
That's what I said just now. Yes, this is part 1, new section of CIA. You're right,
ओके
Chani.
तो सर बहुत सारे जन ने अटेंड नहीं किया मतलब पहले जो थे CI 3 में वो सब अभी
That's
अटेंड नहीं कर
completely
रहे थे
That's okay completely, Chani. I can take these things later, please. There are 64 people other in the class. I want to avoid these questions. I would
ओके सर
sincerely request, I can explain you later. Don't worry.
ओके
A lot of
सर
people in the part 3 have already cleared part 1. So don't worry about them. Okay. Or they may
ओके
prefer
सर
to prepare part 3, or they can look at the recordings. There are a lot of options. Let's don't
ओके
focus
सर
on that. Please
सॉरी
ignore
सॉरी
these discussions. Thank you. Okay. So I'll come back on it, people. Venkata is saying, so ICFR is part of employment assurance, then testing of safe by statutory audit. Sorry, testing by, oh, sorry, I'm confused, Venkat. Not safe, but compulsion. They're saying ICFR is part of employment assurance, then testing um, compulsion by statutory audit. I think something like that you're saying. So Venkat, okay, again, see ICFR requirements, IFC requirements, I would say is again a Companies Act requirement. So any company which is doing, let's say in India, beyond 50 crores, they have to get their internal financial controls certified. Anyone can do management auditing. Like this is more for management to give an assurance. This is part of the director's report that directors say that, okay, financial controls are working effectively in a company. Statutory auditors in their independent audit report also give an opinion whether financial controls are working effectively or not. So that's how this is structured. So generally, statutory auditors again will not have time to look at the and testing 100% of the financial controls may not be necessary. So they look at the management audit results. Now management can get it done through their team, or they can ask the employee team to do. Generally, employee team will support because they are best in it. And they will do it, and they will share the test scripts and the work papers with the statutory auditor. Statutory auditor will still come and do few things independently. So let's say, for example, inventory. They may still come and do physical verification, see whether the inventory that is reported in the books are correct or not. Let's say accounts receivable, the money that they have, that the company is saying that, okay, they need to receive 100 crores from their customer. At least with the key customers, they may take themselves an independent confirmation. Let's say they are showing in the bank that, okay, they have bank balance of 50 crores. They may ask from a bank confirmation straight away from the bank. So whatever is critical for them, see, we need to understand what is statutory auditor role. Statutory auditor is signing where? Can anyone tell me? Statutory auditor is signing on financial statements. What does financial statements contain? Sales number, purchase numbers, expenses, profitability, balance sheet numbers, right? What is payable, what is receivable, what is cash balance, what is fixed deposits, what is maybe creditors, what are the debtors, what is the stock? These are the things that are there. I mean, I'm not getting you start audit per se, but this is something that precisely a start auditor is certifying. So whatever he or she is certifying, whatever he's signing, he or she needs to ensure, or the firm needs to ensure whether those are correct or not. So their focus is to that. Their focus is towards the auditing principles, accounting principles general. Make sense? Does that answers your question, Venkat?
Arpit Fazal here. Arpit,
Yeah, please
as
go
we
ahead.
know that IFC testing is done by the both internal audit and statutory auditor as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the statutory auditor submit the result to the SEBI. If is any statutory auditor submit to the result to the SEBI, right?
Yes, so it's part of the independent audit report, right?
But if any consequences or any notices coming by the SEBI, so who is the more responsible, either internal audit team and statutory auditor both?
See, every can be held responsible. Financial state, if the financial controls have been certified, see, first thing, it is always the management, right? Because ultimately because statutory auditors will have their own caveats in place, employers will have their own caveats in place. So first thing that will come always will be the directors of the company. It could go as low as big as to the independent directors or to the audit committee also, and that's why independent directors roles are becoming significant day by day. So one is that, because first it will come to them, but ultimately it could come in terms of the work papers, and if it goes very worse at a work paper level, at a communication level, this could come to the statutory auditors. This could come to the employers also. Like today we have an FRA in place who will look at how well the statutory auditors are working on, how statutory auditors give a confirmation that financial controls are working, whether they have the right work papers or not, whether they have
So
not
both,
disclosed something. So yeah,
so
it's
both,
on it's a layer to layer thing, right? It depends on where the gap is. So let's say as the employer, we have highlighted something which is very critical, but management choose not to inform because our role is not. And again, these aspects will cover more at length as we move forward. Our role is not to inform to the regulators, right? As employers, do I need to go and inform to the SEBI whether the financial controls are working in the company? The answer is no. Our role is limited to reporting to whom? To the audit committee, right? So we'll inform to the audit committee. Let's say audit committees are independent, or the board of directors choose not to disclose it to the external regulators and all. It's their call, right? It's not our call. We are not working for SEBI. We are working for the management, or we can say we are being appointed. We are working for the audit committee. Make sense? Clear? Yes. Everyone clear so far? Yes or no? All right.
Yes,
People, there is an important note. I'll come back on this note later. But let's move forward. So I hope you're clear with what is mission, what is definition, and what are the core principles. Now, moving on to the next aspect is code of ethics. People, before we get into the code of ethics, let's understand what is the primary purpose of the code of ethics. But before that, this code of ethics, what are we talking about? The code of ethics, what are the 4 code of ethics we spoke about it? Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. Can you all say that, everyone? What are the 4 code of ethics we're talking about? Integrity,
integrity,
confidentiality,
Objectivity,
confidentiality,
confidentiality,
right?
Competence.
People
objectivity,
now,
competence.
people now we are going to understand all these 4 words as we move forward. But before that, this code of ethics that we're talking about, this code of ethics is applicable to whom? Is it applicable to everyone in the organization that we're talking about? These are applicable to the employers, or these are actually applicable to the partners, vendors, distributors of the company? Whom are these
everyone.
applicable?
Everyone.
Everyone in the organization.
Everyone.
So the code of ethics, integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, competency that we're going to learn, is it going to be applicable to everyone in the company? Okay, can I
only
say
to the internal
IPPF?
audit.
I think
IPPF
internal audit.
framework. If you read carefully, IPPF was what? International Professional Practice Framework. It has what? Definition of internal auditing, core principles, standards, code of ethics. This is for whom? IPPF framework
Internal
is for
auditor.
whom? For everyone in the company. Procurement team is bothered about IPPF. Sales team is
No.
bothered about IPPF. No, they will have their own organization code of conduct, own organization ethics manual, corporate governance thing, right? The code of ethics that we're learning is applicable to internal auditors. Are we clear now? What are we
Yes,
referring
sir.
to? The code of ethical conduct is the code of ethics that we're learning. This is for internal auditors, not everyone in the organization, not to vendors, not to partners, not to business organizations. Are we clear now? First thing,
Yes.
first most thing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Now, what is the primary purpose of code of ethics? People, and this is very, very important word. The primary purpose of code of ethics is to promote ethical culture among professionals who serve others. So the key word to code of ethics is to promote ethical culture among professionals who serve others, basically saying that among professionals, among employers who serve others, basically. So that's the primary purpose. Can you all read it? What is the primary purpose of code of ethics? The primary purpose of code of
Is to
ethics is to
promote and
Promote an
an ethical
ethical
culture
culture
among
among
professionals who serve
professionals who
others.
serve
Promote an
others.
ethical culture among professionals.
who serve others. Additional functions of a code of ethical conduct for a professional organization include what? One, we can communicate. So additional function of code of ethical conduct of a professional for a professional organization to include communicating acceptable values to all members, establishing objective standards against which individuals can measure their performance, communicating the organization values to others. That could be additional functions. But primary purpose is to promote ethical culture. Uh, People, now, what are the aspects that are there in the code of ethics? Can just by having code of ethics as a document, can we say that, okay, it is followed and it is trustworthy? Or just by having the code of ethics? The answer is no. It has to be principally followed, right? Can we all, there are 65 people on the call. Can all of be equally competent all the time?
No.
In all of the answer is no. It is impossible to have equal competence all the time. People, one thing that is very, very important is what enhances the value of code of ethics. What is the question here? Can you all say that with me? What enhances the value of code of ethics?
Value of the code.
It is the disciplinary action clause that has to be there in the code of ethics, that okay, if anyone is not going to follow the code of ethics, there can be a disciplinary action that can be taken for violators. If a clause like this is written, it will enhance the value of code of ethics, because otherwise people will think, okay, even if you don't do it, nothing is there, right? But if there is a clause that says that, okay, no, disciplinary action can be taken for violators, it means that the people now will be careful in doing their code of and in working in the right conduct or not. So that's why what enhances the value of code of ethics. If you go back on the question, if you remember, if we go back on the on this aspect, to enhance the code of ethics, it should provide for what? It should provide for what? It should provide for? It should provide for disciplinary action for violators, right? It should provide for disciplinary action for violators. People, what is the primary purpose? Primary purpose is to promote ethical culture among professionals who serve
others.
among professionals who serve others. Promote ethical culture for vendors? The answer is no. Promote ethical culture for business organization, business partners? No. Promote ethical culture for people who serve others, right? Very good. So people, that is on the aspects. Now applicability, if you look at it, the provision of the codes are applicable broadly to all organizations and persons who perform employment services, but not just CIAs and members of IA. So a lot of times we think that code of ethics may be applicable only to the CIA or the members of IIA. Is it limited to them? The answer for the examination largely is no, people. I'll give you an example, and how you can link it and think through about it is, let's take an example. You've joined a US organization, and I'm not taking purposefully an India organization, because generally we see US organization global employment practice follows IPPF. A lot of Indian companies don't follow altogether IPPF. So I cannot comment on that. And I will come on that, why IPPF is important, how does it impact, why are we all learning this? But we'll cover this later, people. All of those questions will also be solved, but we'll cover that later. But today, just take an example that, okay, we are working for the US company. And I've just joined as a staff auditor, or maybe let's say I'm a manager there. I'm neither IA member, I'm not a CIA, but I'm part of the larger employment practice. Do you all agree with me so far? Yes or no?
Yes.
You all agree with me? Yes or no? If I'm part of the overall employment practice, let's say there are 50 members in the team. Someone in US, someone is in, let's say, Europe, someone is in APAC region, right? So there are different regions where the employment team is spread across. And now I'm part of the employment team, but I'm neither IA member of any chapter, any location, and I'm not a CIA. Both of things are missing. Should I not follow code of ethics in that company, like for as part of the team? Should I not be working with integrity? Should I not be working with objectivity? Should I not be maintaining confidentiality? Should I not be maintaining competency? The answer to all of it is no. So even if I'm not a member, even if I'm not a member of IA, even if I'm not I'm not a CIA, I'm a qualified CIA, then also it said that, okay, it is applicable to entire team. It is applicable to entire organization who is following IPPF. So if you're following in the organization IPPF, irrespective your team member is a CIA or not, irrespective the team member is the IA member or not, the whole team, the whole organization as an employee team should be following the code of ethics. Make sense now? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So that's how it is written, people, and this is again important. Can you all read it? The provisions of applicable are code of ethics are applicable to whom? Can you all read it? The provisions of the code are applied. Can you all read it, everyone?
To all
Broadly to
organizations and
To all
persons
organizations and
who
persons
perform
broadly to
internal audit
broadly
services.
organizations
to
and
all
CIs
organizations
who
and
perform
persons
internal
who
audit
perform
services.
internal
Just
And not
audit
just
CIS
CIS
services,
and
and
not
the
just
members of
CAS
IAS.
and members of IA.
right,
So,
lovely. So
Arpit,
if
here
the
one question. As we initially talked about, the code of ethics is applied for only internal auditors, right? So now the provision of code of ethics is also applicable for only internal auditors, right?
yeah. That's why if you see, it says the provision of the codes are applied broadly to all organizations and persons who perform employed services. It is on the employed team, basically.
Oh,
Again, it is not that the code of conduct, if it is saying all organization means everyone in the organization. No. Organization who has employed team, it is applicable to them. It is not necessary in that team whether the person is a CIA or not, whether the person is a IA member or not. Okay.
okay. And
Clear?
also the reason, the primary purpose of is to promote ethical culture among professionals who serves others, means the internal
Again,
auditor.
same. Again, simple. Employers,
Oh,
right?
okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Arpit, Hari here. I have a question. Is there any definition, for people who are performing internal audit services, though they are not CIAs and not part of IIA?
Very good. So you're saying, like, see, it could be anyone. Like, it could be just, let's say, I've done a BCom graduation from, let's say, Delhi University. I've joined your team as a staff auditor.
Okay.
So if I'm part of your team, and let's say your team is following the global audit standards, IPPF framework, then the code of ethics is something that I have to also follow, even if I'm not an IA member, even if I'm not a CIA. Now, can I be hired or not? Like, that's a separate question in terms of competency that we'll cover there. But precisely, anyone can be an auditor, right? It's not that employer has to be mandatory CIA. People who are BCom graduate to people who are CAs, people who are ACCAs, people who are CPAs, people who are civil engineers for that matter can also be internal auditors, right? People who are done BTech, they can, and an MBA can also be internal auditor. Anyone can be internal auditor. It is just that you need to understand, and there are different skill set that we need in the team also. Let's say if you're auditing for a EPC company which is into procurement and construction, as part of the employee team, we may have to hire civil engineers because they can actually review the um, design of the building and everything, right? Which would be too technical, which normally, let's say, someone from finance background will not understand. So it's a mix that we have generally. Make sense?
So, small question, sir. I know maybe this is a question.
Yeah.
When I'm saying internal audit services. This include the person who is coordinating the services for the internal. When one of the person who is responsible or being nominated by my team, saying that you have to coordinate with the internal audit and everything. So this person also comes under internal audit services, right?
So you're saying someone like in the team who's coordinating with external service providers, something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. See, someone who is part of the employee team has to follow code of ethics, right? I mean, see, person has to work with integrity. The person should be objective. The person should maintain confidentiality. This coordinator will also have a lot of things, right? Should the person who is maintaining confidentiality, should he or she maintain the confidentiality? Yes, the answer is yes to all of it.
Hi, this is Suresh. Just a follow-up question for Venkat, right? From a business end, right? If a person is coordinating along with the internal audit, is the expectation to have them also follow until this completion of this internal audit for their business? Are they expected to follow the code of conduct or the ethics there?
They're always required to follow the code of ethics. See, what is code of ethics? That the person will work with integrity, the person will be unbiased, objective, the person will maintain confidentiality, the person will be competent. Let's say the person who is doing it is not competent in terms of coordination. Whether he or she will be able to justify his work, the answer is no. Whether the person, let's say the person who is doing coordination, if the person receives an important employed finding and that needs to be further reviewed by, let's say, CAE, he's just acting as a, or she's just acting as a coordinating point between a service provider, external service provider, and let's say the CAE or the management, and the person receives an important details, right, as part of the coordination. Should he or she go and disclose outside in the public? The answers to all of it is no, right? So all those general aspects of code of ethics would have to be followed by anyone in the team, employee
Sheetal
team.
here, I think where
Yes,
the
Manshita.
confusion is because the question is more from the person who is auditing, so that is audit team, and the process which is getting audited. So may not necessarily be in the
Okay,
audit,
so
but
okay, just one second. You're talking about the process owners?
Yeah, process owner.
yeah,
Yes.
business,
No,
when he said
process,
business,
no.
he's referring to process owner.
Process owners will see the code of ethics is applicable to the employee team, not the process owners. Again, repeating that. The code of ethics are applicable to whom? To the internal auditors.
Auditor,
This
correct.
code of ethics is not for procurement. This code of ethics is not for sales. This code of ethics is not for IT team, right? Those are following the organizational code of conduct, right? Any which ways there will be organizational code of conduct, right? There will be organization.
Yeah.
Generally, you see a COC document in the company, right? Code of conduct, which is part of, which is applicable to everyone. That will be applicable to purchase, sales, IT, logistics, marketing, even IA, employee team,
Okay.
which is organization code of conduct. But additional to that code of conduct is the IA code of conduct. IA code of conduct is followed by, is only applicable to the employers in the company. Make sense?
Got it. Yeah, it's clear now.
Right.
Thank you.
So this code of conduct is not to the process owners. This code of conduct is only applicable to the employer. It could be any role. It could be a staff auditor who has just joined. It could be a CAE himself or herself. It could be a coordinator in the IA team who's coordinating with others. Right. So it could be anyone in the team of IA. So this is applicable to IA team. Is that clear now? Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Lovely.
Yes.
Lovely. People, let's once again read. So we have learned 3 critical words here. What is the primary purpose of code of ethics? Can you all read it, everyone? For code of ethical conduct, it is to promote ethical culture. People, what is the aspect that should be there in code of ethics to enhance its value? It should provide for disciplinary action for validators. And whom is it applicable? It is not just is it applicable only to CIAs? It is only applicable to the members of CIAs, or is it applicable to all employers? The answer is to all employers. Right? People, the last line is again important. Code of ethics extend beyond the definition of employing to include 2 essential components. What are the 2 components in code of ethics? These are also the principles that are relevant to the profession practice of employing. These are rules of conduct that describe behavior norms expected out of employers. Can you all read it, people? This is very, very important. Can you all read it? What are rules of code of ethical conduct? What are the components? It says these are principles that are
relevant to the profession practice of the internal auditing.
And these
Rules
are
of conduct that describe behavior norms expected of internal auditors.
Right, people, lovely. Let's move on further now. We are going to talk about the 4 code of ethics. We'll talk about certain violations to it, and then we'll practice 1 or 2 MCQs around it on how the MCQs look at, and then we'll come back. But before that, do you all need a quick 5 minutes break, people, before we continue? I mean, I'm okay, because once we start this, of course, I will not be able to take a break for next 45 minutes at least. So do you all want a quick break?
Yes.
5 minutes?
Yes.
All right. So people, it's all 8:32 India time. So let's reconnect in 8 minutes from now. We'll reconnect at 8:40 sharp. So please come back in time. We'll continue from there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Arpit. Are you there by any chance?
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat that?
No. Are you there by any chance?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm there.
welcome?
Please go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Okay. Can you just go to the previous slide, Arpit? I just have a question on the ethics. Yeah. No. Yeah. So here in the components, you're saying that the code of ethics, extends beyond the definition of internal auditing and includes the principles that are relevant and also the rules of conduct that describe the behavior. Can you just give me any simple example? So what they exactly say as principles?
This is what is covered, Hari. As we move forward, actually, what we are going to learn, these are the principles, rules of conduct. If you see these things, principles are integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. The rules of conduct are the bulletins that we see. These are the rules of conduct that we'll move forward and we'll understand that. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sure. All right, everyone. Are you all with me? Can I quickly hear the word yes? Is everyone with me? Can I quickly hear the word yes?
Yes.
All right, people. Let's continue. So folks, before we move forward, let's take a quick recap of what we have studied so far. As I said, we have seven subunits to cover under this chapter, Foundation of Internal Auditing. The first thing under the applicable guidance, we started with mission of internal auditing. Now let's reflect back through this. Anyone who recall what is mission of internal auditing? What was the mission of internal auditing, people? Anyone?
To
Please
enhance
call out your name and go ahead.
and protect
Enhance and protect organizational value by providing
risk-based
risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight.
Right, so it was to enhance and protect organizational value. How do we do it? By providing risk-based, risk-based, objective assurance and advice and insight, right? So that's what was our mission is. What does IPPF contain, people? It was two things. What does IPPF full form is? International
Professional Practice Framework.
Okay, what does IPPF contain? Mandatory guidance and
Mandatory guidance and
recommended guidance.
Okay, what were the four things in mandatory guidance? What did we learn? Other than mission, it was
definition, standards, and code of ethics.
Standards and code of ethics.
People, in definition of internal auditing, what were the keywords? Definition of internal auditing. Internal auditing has to be an
Independent,
independent, assurance,
consulting.
assurance and consulting activity overall to add value. And which areas we focus on? GRC, governance, risk management, and control process. Right. People, in terms of the core principles, how many total core principles we had? We have total 10 core principles. Right?
10 core principles.
Examples of core principles were: we should demonstrate integrity. We should demonstrate
competency and due professional care.
We should be appropriately positioned
and adequately resourced.
Should we be proactive, future focused? Yes. Should we be communicating effectively? Yes. Should we be looking at organization process overall improvement? Yes. All of those is important, right? Should we be biased or not biased? We should not be biased, right? We should be unbiased. People, we have not talked about standard of internal auditings yet. We will spoke about it as we move forward. Code of ethics. What were the four code of ethics? What are we learning now? Integrity, objectivity,
confidentiality, competence.
People, is independence also code of ethics? No. Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, competency are the four code of ethics. Is due professional care part of code of ethics? No. Which is it? Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. Don't get confused that, okay, due professional care is code of ethics. Is it, okay, let me talk about it. Even continuous improvement, quality assurance, is this part of code of ethics? No. That is again, that is not code of ethics. That may be somewhere part of the standard, but that is not code of ethics. Code of ethics are only four. What are those? Integrity,
objectivity, confidentiality,
competency.
Right. Again, I'll repeat that: due professional care, continuous improvement, quality assurance, all of these are independence. These are not code of ethics. That is separate. Is it clear now, everyone? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. People, what was the primary purpose of code of ethics? What did we learn here? It was to promote
Ethical culture.
right? And this is applicable to whom? This code of ethics is applicable to
Internal
auditors. To enhance code of ethics, it should provide for what? It should provide for disciplinary action for violators. Now we are going to talk about integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. People, applicability of provision of code of ethics. Whom are it applicable to? Just CIAs, just members of IIA, both members of IIA, CIAs, or all internal auditors? It is to
all internal auditors.
right? People, right? Now we are going to talk about principles of code of ethics, which is integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competency. And we'll also learn certain examples, people, in which case we'll say integrity is getting violated, in which case objectivity is getting violated, in which case confidentiality is getting violated, in which case competency is getting violated. So again, a very, very important section for the exam, people. So let's begin with this. What is integrity and what are the keywords around it? People, first of all, integrity is foundation to everything. Can you all say that? Integrity is what? It is the foundation to everything. Right. Okay. What is integrity? Integrity is refusal to compromise professional values and performance of professional duties in accordance with the relevant laws. Can you all say that? Integrity is refusal to
compromise professional values, performance of professional duties in accordance with relevant laws.
In accordance with the relevant laws.
Right. Now, what are the principles or the rules of conduct? What are the rules of conduct under integrity, people? It says that, okay, we should perform work with honesty, due diligence, and responsibility. We should make disclosures expected by the law, and we should not knowingly become party to an illegal act, as well as we should not be engaging in an act discreditable to the profession. So there are 4 rules of conduct. Actually, the first one is, can you all say that? Performing work with
honesty diligency and responsibility.
Then second is making
Making
disclosures
disclosure exposed by the law.
and not knowingly become a
Not
party to
knowingly
an
become a party to an illegal act or
or
engaging
engage
an
in.
act discriminable to the profession.
Right. So people, again, integrity, the key word that you need to remember for integrity is honesty also. Can you all say that? The key word for integrity is honesty. Or another word is trust. Can you all say that? Integrity is also trust. Okay. People, another thing very, very important is sometimes in the examination, examiner may ask you which of the following is focus, what integrity is focusing on. And let's say the example is make disclosures expected by the law, disclose all material facts known to them. If not disclosed, may distort the purpose of the communication. Which one is it? Integrity, what we have learned, it is disclose all material facts known to them, or is it make disclosure expected by the law?
Making
disclosure expected
by the law.
Very good. So people will, as we will move forward, we'll practice some of these MCQs also so that you can understand it better. But for now, this is something that we need to understand. The key words are very simple: honesty, disclosures expected by the law, not becoming party to an illegal act, not passing any disparaging comments to others, and doing something which is discreditable to the profession. So that is integrity, and it is foundation. People now. So now I'll give you an example. Let's take an example. In the exam, examiner is giving you an option that employer has not reported properly the employed findings, right? Let's say the employed findings that was reported was not fully and was not covering important findings that were noted by the employer. And the option is integrity, confidentiality, competency, and objectivity. Which one will you choose?
Competency.
Answer is the answer to it will be objectivity. Okay, we'll talk about it. But for now, think it from a point of view, the answer is objectivity. And I'll cover, because we've not studied objectivity so far and competency so far. So that's the reason you all are saying things like that. But of course, once I'll explain you will understand it better. But what happens is sometimes in the examination, objectivity is not in the option. Let's say now it says integrity, confidentiality, competency, and continuous improvement. Now, which one will you choose?
Integrity.
Integrity.
I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that sometimes there could be an option which you are probably looking forward to it, and that's not there in the question itself. Then you will have to go to the next best possible option. And if you get and let's say if you're getting integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, competency, your answer is objectivity. Okay, clear? Let's take an vice versa example. Let's take an example here. Making disclosure expected by the law is part of what? Can anyone tell me? This is part of integrity. Let's say the examiner is asking you making disclosure expected by the law. If the employer has not made the disclosures expected by the law. And the options are, let's say, objectivity, confidentiality, competency, and independence. Now, which one will you choose? There's no integrity in the option.
Objectivity.
The next best option is objectivity, because integrity is not in the option itself. So what I'm trying to say, if the examiner is giving you straight away option, integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, independence, the answer would be integrity. But let's say if that option itself is mentioned, which will be the best preferable option, you will have to think through on those lines also. Okay. But don't worry, as we move forward, we'll practice a lot of the MCQs also. We'll understand once we start doing it. But for now, are we clear? Can you all once again, for now, read it? What is integrity? It is refusal to compromise professional
values,
performance of professional duties,
with relevant law.
and then what are the rules of conduct? The key
Performing
word are
work with
Performing work with honesty
diligence
and
and
responsibility, making disclosure expected by the law, not knowingly becoming a party to an illegal act or engaging in an act disreputable to the profession.
to the profession.
very good. People, now these are the examples of violation of integrity. Let's read them out. So let's say if we are lying, first thing is lying. What is it? Can you all say that? It is lying. If we are lying itself, it is an integrity issue. Now, lying could be, let's say I'm telling that I'm a CIA, but I'm not a CIA. Let's say I'm coming and telling you all that, okay, on the first page, I'm saying I'm a CIA, CRMA, CISA, CA, all of that, but I'm lying. I'm actually not. In that case, am I coming with integrity? And am I doing my work with honesty? Am I telling you the truth? The answer is no. There is an integrity issue, right? So this is in itself is an violation to what? Integrity, right? So it's very simple. Can you all read it? Making claims about one competency in a manner
That is deceptive, false, or misleading, lying, overlooking to illegal activities. Let's say there is an illegal activity that is going on in a plant where you are auditing. You have checked it, but you are not disclosing it because you think that, okay, this is good for the organization. Is it you have become party to an illegal act? The answer is yes, you have become party to an illegal act. And the last one is making disparaging comments about the organization, fellow employees, or its stakeholders. So what are the examples of violation of integrity? Can you all read it? Making claims about one's competency
In a manner that is deceptive, so misleading, lying, overlooking illegal activities, making disparaging comments about the organization, fellow employees, and stakeholders.
organization, fellow employees of its stakeholders.
Right. People, I'll cover confidentiality and competency first, and I'll come to objectivity. Objectivity is something that we'll cover in length. Not just today, we'll cover, it is also part of the unit 2 at length. In the examination, you can expect approximately 15 odd questions only on objectivity alone. Okay. So there is a huge content and a huge type of questions that gets covered on objectivity. I'll pick it one step later, but let's cover quickly the other two code of ethics, which are easier and smaller ones. The second is confidentiality. We all understand the word. We are living in the word of confidentiality all the time, right? So what is confidentiality? Let's take an example. You, as course of in your employment exercise, you have obtained certain information. You have obtained what? You have obtained information. And let's say you have started using that information for purchase and sale of stocks. Purchase and sale of stocks in the share market. Are you violating confidentiality? Yes or no?
Yes.
The answer is
Yes.
we are violating confidentiality. People, let's say if you have invested in mutual funds, are you still violating confidentiality?
No.
No.
If you're investing in mutual funds, no confidentiality breach. But if you're investing in share market based on the financials and based on the information that you've received in the course of duties, in that case, it is the violation to confidentiality. People, let's take an example. You've received a court order. You've received what? You've received a court order. You've received a summon from the court. And now, because you have received a court order, you're professionally liable to sort of disclose it. Have you violated confidentiality? The answer is yes or no? The answer is
No.
No.
Right? So what we have learned just now, we have learned that confidentiality is be prudent in use and protection of information required in the course of duties, should not use information for any personal gain or in any manner that would be contrary to the law. Can you all read it? What are the rules of conduct under confidentiality? We should be prudent in
Be prudent in the
Prudent in the use and protection of information acquired in course of duty. Not use information for any personal gain or in
use
any manner
information
that
for
could be
any
contrary to the
personal gain or in any manner that would be
contrary
to the law.
Right. Venkat is asking what is disparaging comments, right? What is disparaging? Venkat, you can think it from a point of view, inappropriate comments for the organization, fellow colleagues, for the people, right? Inappropriate comments, disparaging, something which is bringing down someone else's reputation of the
Derogatory.
organization. Yeah, derogatory, yes. Okay. All right. So I hope you are clear with confidentiality. Let's quickly read out what are the cases, what are the examples of confidentiality breach. So the first one is what we just now spoke about it. Using insider financial, strategic, or operational knowledge of an organization to bring about personal gain by what? By doing what? Can you all read it? By purchasing
Purchasing
or
or selling shares in the organization.
Releasing insider knowledge to journalists or by other media without proper authorization. Okay, people, again, are we responsible to disclose to media, to the SEBI, to the regulators? The answer to all of it is no. We are responsible to report to whom? We are responsible to report to the board of directors, right? So that is our responsibility. So releasing insider knowledge to journalists or via other media without proper authorization could be a confidentiality issue. Using insider information to develop a competitive product or selling proprietary information to a competitor, this could also be a confidentiality issue. But what is not a confidentiality issue? Can you all read the highlighted section? Disclosing confidential
information in response to a court order is not a violation.
Very good. People, the last
Example, can you please give it that like the highlighted one? Yeah, this is Anjana.
Yeah, it's very simple. Anjana, very simple. Let's say you have received a court order and you need to share your work papers. So you will have to share your work papers, right? I mean, you cannot say no to court, right? So if you've shared it, doesn't mean that you have leaked to you have violated the confidentiality of the company. Make sense?
As per this law as well, right? Integrity, make the disclosure by the making disclosure, which is means request by the law.
The request by the law, court order is like separate, like it's a court order that you have received. So you have to share it. Making disclosures expected by the law could be, you can think it from a point of view. Let's say there's something that is non-compliant going on in the company, we should disclose it precisely, right? That okay, these are the non-compliances happening in the company. Whom do you need to disclose? You need to disclose to the audit committee. Just thinking that okay, let's take an example. Let's take an example that the company is doing some GST fraudulent practices, right? And if the GST fraudulent practices are happening in the company, what will happen? As an employer, should be reported to the audit committee? Yes or no? The answer is we should report it to the audit committee, right? But let's think from a point of view. We feel that okay, oh, they are taking extra input tax credit of GST. This is only making the company better in terms of cash positioning. It's always good. So now this is where we have become party to an illegal act. Make sense?
Good.
Are you getting me?
But also, in addition to the court of law, does it also include regulatory and other government agencies, Arpit? Or does it only restricted to court of law?
See, if you're looking at regulatory agency, again, you can think it like, okay, let's say income tax department has reached out or GST department has reached out. Is that what your question is?
Yes. Yeah. So you say if income tax has reached out and SEBI has, requested some information and RBI, so regulatory
See,
bodies like that.
See, if so, it is the what we're learning in confidentiality is the court order. But if it comes to another regulatory agencies, if they are reaching out to the employers to share the information, in that case, it should not be just sharing it with them. It should be first discussing, informing to the management that okay, this is what they have received, aligning with them, discussing with them, taking legal counsel support, and then sharing it externally outside. Okay,
Sir, Shalda this side.
please go, Shraddha.
Sir, if by any chance, is it possible for an internal auditor to be working with direct competitors and just ensure confidentiality, but will he be allowed to work for direct competitors?
Practically speaking, yes, Shalda. If you see, especially the service provider, like if let's say we look at our firm, like let's say Risman. So Risman work with in same segment with multiple firms, right? Let's say in automobile, we will be working with multiple OEMs. Likewise, if you look at any other big fours, right? So big four will have verticals in the section, and they will be working with, let's say if it is a telecom, they will be working with all Airtel, Jio, everyone. So yes, in a way, it's a competitor whom they are working. It's just that confidentiality needs to be maintained and all of those things are in place. But that do adds to add value also because you have the industry expertise.
Yeah, exactly. So that won't be like deemed like a violation of
No.
confidentiality if
If
you're
you're
working with
disclosing the information without knowledge, without telling, in that case, these things are confidential breach, right?
Okay, thank you.
Arpit, Faisal this side. I have one
Please
question.
Yeah, please
So, Arpit, here we know that most of the consulting firms fill out the engagement declaration by the team member before entering the engagement, right?
Yeah.
So, if let's say I'm in one of the assignment which is related to the P2P, and after completing the assignment, I'm out of the assignment. So that time also I'm breaching the confidentiality if I'm buying the share for this organization.
So see, okay, very good question. So see, Faisal, fundamentally, if you're doing it based on the knowledge you have, because you know, based on the information that you obtained that okay, the company is going to do better. In that case, yes, there will be a confidentiality breach that because of the knowledge obtained or because of the information obtained in the course of the duties, you are dealing now in securities and shares of the company. In that case, it is definitely a case of a confidentiality issue.
So, but how someone else can make out that, after the engagement, they are using the information, right? So, how can a person who is responsible to take disciplinary action can make out that, okay, this person has used the previous information when he
Basically, what
was
is
into
the
the
time?
engagement? Yeah, yeah.
It all depends as see as there is no such if I stick to only standards, the standards clearly say no. If someone is doing it, it is part of the code of ethics issue. Second, if you ask me how will someone be looking out, see to these days unpublished sensitive information. We call it UPSI information, right? UPSI declarations are taken by the people who are part of these teams and who are working on the company till the results have not been disclosed. In fact, not just that, the PAN numbers are shared. So there are tools and technologies which are used to see whether the person is trading into the company stock or not. and it could be clearly restricted to deal in the company stock for the people who are dealing and working for the company. So if you ask me, there are tools and technologies to monitor across your PAN, whether across your PAN you have been working and trading into those, trading into organization stock or not.
Okay.
And a UPSI declaration is being given to you every quarter. They will ask you for a confirmation. That's generally the practice for a listed company that they will be following in India. So let's say if you're working for a listed company and you're working on something which is undisclosed, or let's say you're into some consulting engagement wherein you have access to certain information, which is which reflects that, okay, whether the company is going to publish what sort of result. In that case, they would always prefer to take a UPSI declaration from you, ask your PAN, and they will put into tool to verify and monitor whether you're doing such kind of transactions or not. So they do have, there are mechanisms to look at it.
Okay, okay. So I have two more questions actually. One is that you mentioned that either auditor can deal into mutual funds, but nowadays we also know that if you are doing an SIP or something, the banks already provide a list. If you are, for example, doing an Aditya Birla's SIP, they have a particular list of companies that do for this dividend growth SIP. Yeah, they will be investing it. So if that list has my company's name, so it is a kind of, indirectly I am using that.
You're right in that approach, but if you see the percentage in terms of the portfolio is very less, right? So generally the percentage is in certain percentage, so it's quite spread across. And see, fundamentally what you're saying could be considered important. Let's say if it is a very sector specific mutual fund that has been done and where the percentages are high, you can think it from those point of view that indirectly someone is investing, but only from a CIE examination point of view. If it is done on mutual fund, it is sort of allowed, and if it is in securities, it's straight away not allowed. So that's for the from an examination point of view. This is how you need to understand. But I get your point that, as I said, one reason fundamentally is that one, it is in certain fractions or certain percentage, which is not very significant considering the fund portfolio. And second is even if it is sector focusing mutual fund, it would be spread across 40-50 companies, right? So that's the reason I think fundamentally that, and it is not under your direct control also. If you see, it is under and it is under the control of the mutual fund AMC
Mutual
manager,
fund,
right?
yes. But just for examination purpose, if the question says that
examination
I'm
purpose.
investing in a mutual fund which is having a substantial portion of my company, investing in substantial portion in my company, should I say that it is allowed?
See, if the question is silent investment, if it is a material investment in the company, and if the question is silent, like silent, in that case, it is not allowed. If it is, and if you see material investment in the company, there are two things, and people, I'll probably try to make you more confused. Okay, if it is material investment in the company you have made, if sorry, I'll repeat myself. If there is a material interest or material investment in the company, this is what issue? This is a confidentiality issue or this is an objectivity issue? So answer is this is an objectivity issue. Okay. Because there's a conflict of interest, right? Because there's a conflict of interest, right? You have a material interest in the company. Let's say tomorrow, if you know some fraud is going on, and you will never like to disclose it, right? Because if you disclose it, there are chances that the share price will go and your material interest in the company will go low. So this is an objectivity issue. But let's say based on the knowledge or based on the information obtained in the course of responsibilities, you have done an investment in the company. In that case, it is a confidentiality issue. So two different things we are talking about. Use of information. Use of information for personal gain is a confidentiality issue. Holding a material interest in the company could be objectivity issue. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I'm very clear about it. Thank you so much, sir. And okay. Please go ahead. I'll ask next.
Yeah, Fazal, please.
Yeah. So, Arpit, here is if any internal auditor breaches the confidentiality principle, so what is the consequences which occur or penalty to this for this?
So see, there could be different penalties and different things across different geographies, different jurisdictions. Like India, we have insider regulations in India, right? So there could be different nuances of insider trading in India, which could be driven through different enforcements. But Faisal, fundamentally, I mean, it all varies jurisdiction to jurisdiction. If you're in US, it would be different. If you're in India, it would be different. If you're in Japan, it would be different. So there's not one, but again, from a CIA standpoint of view, see, we have, it is simple, like the code of conduct have not been followed, it has been violated. So at max, what can be done? Like person can be terminated in the team, person can be taken actions in terms of, let's say, if you are a CIA and if such kind of violations have been reported to IIA, they can remove you from the member list. They can remove you from the as a CIA, as a member. All of those, like your certification could be revoked. Those are the things that professional bodies can do. Other than that, if in terms of the penalties, in terms of the legal enforcements around you, that could vary jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Like as I said, in India, where there are insider regulations, right? If one is doing insider regulations, there could be a huge issue in terms of insider regulations, which could be driven with SEBI to various other enforcement agencies could be attached. Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense. All right, yeah. Sorry, there was Asta. You want to ask more?
Yes, sir. There is a mention of law in some places. I'm just confused exactly what law is governing the internal audit. Is there any specific, like statutory audit, we have a kind of Companies Act, where we are kind of responsible. So is there any specific law?
It's not specific law. See, specific law in Companies Act only talks about which are the companies to whom employment is applicable.
Yeah.
But here we are saying making making disclosures expected by the law is more like because company is binded with multiple laws, right? So let's say it could be as simple as an environmental law. Let's say there are things that are being happening in the factory which is not in line to the law. But what we have done is we have not disclosed it because we think that, okay, if doing this, the company will become more profitable. And since I'm part of the company, if it is more profitable, it's always good for the company. So that is not correct. Now I've become party to an illegal act. It's not that because it is legal, so and it is beneficial to the company, we should think that way. We should still go in and then make the disclosures. Basically, that's what it says.
Yes.
In terms of confidentiality, if you see not use information for any personal gain or in manner that would be contrary to the law, again, it's simple thing. We should be prudent in use of information. It is basically saying that, okay, let's say if we have received a court order, we can disclose information. If we have responded to a court order, in that case, we have not violated. Clear?
So regarding this
So
court order,
yeah, please
proceed. Actually, the board of directors doesn't want to disclose this because it will affect the company very badly. So ultimately, these internal auditors are reporting to the board of directors. In this situation, what the internal auditors will do?
So Shiji, we can always disclose it. If it's a court order, just because board doesn't want to share, it doesn't mean that we could be on. I mean, if it is a court order, we are liable to disclose it, right? So even if we disclose it, will not from a fundamentally will not be considered as violated. See, it's always good to discuss with legal team. It's always good to align with the board. It's always good to align with the management of the company to let them know that this is what we have received and what could be the repercussions of what we can share. So it's always good to sort of discuss before we are sharing it. But even if we have just shared it, it is not leading to any sort of violations. That okay, because we have shared it against the court order, is it a violation? The answer is no, it is not a violation. Practically speaking, you're right. Probably, let's say if there is some department issues or GST department has sent out a letter to, let's say, the auditors of the company saying that, okay, you have to tell us this. Yeah, all of those matters. As I said, the right approaches to inform to the management, inform to the board, discuss with the legal counsel of the team, and then take it forward and inform it. Because see, any which ways, it's not that let's say if IRDA is sending out a notice to the company, no company has an option not to revert, right? They will revert it. It is just that they will assess that whether now what sort of repercussion could be based on the information that is shared. Make sense?
Yeah, but here in this case, the
So
internal
Shalda
auditors
is saying.
or here the internal
One by
auditors.
one. Let's Shiji complete. Yeah, Shiji, please go ahead.
Here, in this case, the internal auditor will be an independent body outside the company, correct?
Okay, very good. So you're thinking it more from a service provider islands, right?
Correct. So internal auditor can be from inside the company as well as from the outside
Very
the
good.
company.
Very good. Very good.
If it is inside the company, he, as an employee, he cannot overrule the board of directors. If it is outside company, as an independent agency, they can do it.
All right, very good. So she's again, as an external auditor also, we have our NDAs in place, right? So even as an external auditor, let's say, for example, again, let's say anyone reach out to us saying that, okay, you have to share this information for this company. Without intimating them, we cannot just go and share it to the regulators, right? Even for that matter. But let's say again, if we have received a court order and we have shared it, uh, it is not considered violation of code of conduct that, okay, employers have violated the code of conduct, right? I mean, it is always good to align, is what I'm trying to say. It's always good to be informing to the client.
Okay.
Makes sense? Yeah. You will always inform, right?
Yeah.
All right. Suresh is asking, is this apply for regulatory request? I think I've covered that, Suresh. Is the receipt of material gift of favored? Suresh, you're jumping the gun very fast. We have not come to gift. We have not come to objectivity yet. Okay. Once we'll cover that, we'll cover all of these queries. All right.
So
Is that?
Shalda.
Yeah, please go ahead, Shalda.
Yeah. Sir, I just wanted to understand, is there any restriction on who can report any breaches in ethical codes?
Who can report any breaches?
Yeah. Like, is it has to be the client or it has to be an employee? Any such restrictions that it has to be an affected party somehow?
See, affected parties can report it more significantly because let's say you have went ahead and did something which is absolutely not acceptable, right? Uh, let's say there was a conflict happened and you protected the person because you know the person or it's the person's relative, and this has led to a huge issue in the company, or you've become party to an illegal act, or you've started asking money from the company. Okay, I'll drop this audit finding and you pay us this much amount, something like that is happening. In that case, see, I mean, of course, those things can be taken to the professional bodies by the affected parties. Yes, affected parties can take it up, or let's say if you're part of the team and you have done it, maybe the CA can take it up. So all of those is possible depending on who are the party to doing that. Make sense?
Arpit, I have one question.
Please go ahead, Sakshi.
So, for example, we are conducting an audit, we are at the execution level, and we have come across some findings. Now it will go through your manager, it will go through the process owners, it will go through the management, and there will be one internal auditor who's appointed by the board who has to report those observations. Now, from my part to that internal auditor, many of the observations can be taken out because they might not feel it is important
to
report to the board. So now I wanted to understand that if I feel that it should be taken, but what is my course of action there?
Very good. So that is asked by Sakshi, right? Very good question, Sakshi. Sakshi, this is something that we'll cover in objectivity. We'll understand that objectivity is an attribute of individual auditor. What does it mean? Let's say if there is a fraud going on, and let's say I have informed to the CAE that there is a fraud going on, and CAE believes that not to be reported. Now CAE is impairing the objectivity, not me, precisely. Objectivity is an attribute of individual employer. We learn it that way. Okay. So if I have accepted a gift, I've been in violation. If I have disclosed was if I have not disclosed something, and then I'm leading to impairment of objectivity. So to answer your question in simple terms, if you have disclosed to your seniors and your seniors have not taken a choice to sort of report it because of whatever reason, one, they are biased, they are impairing the objectivity, not you. Second, let's say they feel not important. Again, if they feel not important, they can justify it. Fundamentally, very good. But ultimately, if you have informed, you are not impairing any objectivity. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. All right, people, let's move a little bit forward and then we'll come back and take up the queries. Confidentiality, let's quickly read this out. Are we clear in terms of what are the cases where confidentiality will be considered as speech? Can I deal into buying and selling of shares based on the knowledge obtained?
No.
No.
Answer is no. Should I be disclosing to outsiders? The answer is again
No.
Should I be giving the information to the competitor? The answer is again
No.
Can I give information against a court order? If I am doing that, is it a violation to confidentiality?
Yes.
No.
Answer is it is not a violation to confidentiality. I can go ahead and disclose the information. Very good. People, the next piece is competency now. What are the next third code of conduct that we're going to talk about it? Can you all say that? It is the Competency. People, competency is now what? What did we learn just now? Competency. Can all of us be equally competent?
No.
Can all of us be equally competent?
No.
The answer is no. People, competency is seen at a collective level. Can you all say that with me? The key word for competency is what? Collective. What does it mean? What does it mean? Let's take an example. 4 of us are part of one team, and we have been requested to do a cybersecurity related audit, a cyber audit. All 4 of us are lacking knowledge. All 4 of us are lacking knowledge. And if we have accepted this assignment to go and do the audit, have I done integrity? Am I violating integrity, confidentiality, objectivity, or competency? The answer is I'm violating to the competency clause. Let's say one of the team member doesn't have employed experience of doing cyber audit, but the supervisor, the senior, is having exposure on doing cybersecurity audit, and the person is going to supervise throughout the engagement. In that case, is there a competency issue? The answer is yes or no?
No.
The answer is no. So what is competency seen at? Competency is seen at an individual level or a collective level? It is seen at a collective level. People, can I go and just hire engineer in my team? The answer is yes or no?
Yes.
I can hire an engineer. The person is completely fresher. A BTech from ABC University is joining our team. Zero knowledge on IPPF, zero knowledge on employed, zero knowledge on corporate experience. Can I go and hire the person? The answer is, am I doing any competency issue? The answer is, there is no competency issue. I can just go and hire someone, right? Right? I can just go and hire someone, right? So competency is seen at an individual level or a collective level. The key learning that we've learned is seen at a collective level. So now let's read this out, people. Competency is engage only in those services for which we have the necessary knowledge, skill, and experience, perform employed services in accordance with the standards, and continuously improve their proficiency and effectiveness and quality of service. So what are the rules of conduct of competency? Can you all read it? Engage only in
the service
In those
which
which we
we
have
have
necessary
necessary knowledge,
knowledge, skills, and experience.
Skills
perform
and experience.
services in
Perform
accordance
internal
with
audits,
standards,
services
continually
in
improve efficiency,
accordance with the
effectiveness, and
standards.
quality of service.
Continually improve the efficiency and the efficiency and the quality of the service.
Very good. People, now let's read out some scenario where we can say that the competency is getting violated. So accepting an engagement when employed function collectively lacks knowledge, skill, experience, or proficiency is a violation. For example, we took an example of cyber audit, right? So if 4 of us were part of the employed team and none of us have idea on cyber audit, and if we have accepted that audit, does it mean we have violated competency?
Yes.
Answer to it is yes. Right. But let's take an example. This cyber audit is 6 months down the line. People, I repeat myself, this audit, sorry, there's some disturbance at someone, and could you please keep yourself on mute, people? All right. So I'll repeat myself. Let's say the cyber audit is planned in January 25, and today is September 24. We have planned to conduct trainings in the next 2-3 months, and we will do it before the audit gets started. Am I still violating competency? The answer is now? No. Clear, everyone? So if we have plans to if we have plans to do trainings, then sufficient skill set will be obtained before the start of the assignment. In that case, it is not leading to a competency issue. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Right.
I have a quick question. Okay, I would say I'll just give you a scenario and just guide me how to go through it. A person who's from working in compliance background, who's in the second line of defense for a while and performs all these checks and reviews, and the person is now moving to the third line internal audit function, and they do have an experience of performing audits and reviews. So does that mean the person is competent enough to perform the internal audit and be part of the audit function?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no harm in it, right? So it's actually good. The person is part of the second line of defense, means he or she is, let's say, an example of risk management team. Now the person has joined to the employee team, which is independent employee team. Of course, the person can join and do audit, and the person is competent. And as I said, see, competency is again not seen at an individual level. The key concern is, and where a lot of us get confused is, let's say the person is having no background, zero knowledge, zero experience, coming straight away from as a fresher. Can we hire them? The answer to all of it is yes. Competency is seen as a collective level. If there are multiple team members, let's say 3 team members together going and doing the project, if they have knowledge, skill set, competency, it's always good to kind of go into it, right? There's no competency issue. But let's say all of them lacks knowledge, even the senior lacks knowledge, who is going to supervise? In that case, it's a competency violation.
Sure. Sure. And just one more, yeah, sure. Thanks, Arpit. And one more quick suggestion on the confidentiality on point number one, using insider, strategic, and financial information of an organization, and purchasing and selling shouldn't be in stock market or in share market or something. Again, it's really repeating in the organization. Or am I missing something here?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I'm not clear, Ari.
No, can you just minimize the chat? Yeah. So if you see in confidentiality point number one, it says using insider financial, strategic, and operational knowledge of an organization to bring about personal financial gain by purchasing or selling shares in the organization. So shouldn't it be purchasing or selling shares in the stock market?
Yeah, it's almost same. It's just that it's a US English, sometimes it could not be
Yeah.
as simple as a English language that we understand. It's selling shares in the organization. It's basically saying organization related stock. You can think it from that point of view. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Arpit, to add this topic, I have one question.
Please go ahead.
Let's say if I'm in an audit with one of the organization, let's say A organization, okay, and here one of the person which is a part of our internal audit team, and I want to recruit one of the person in my team for this particular engagement as well. Okay, so can I able to recruit this person which is from the same organization?
Sorry, so you're saying, okay, let me try and understand this better, Faisal. Let's say first of all, you're an internal auditor within the company, or you're an external service provider?
I'm external provider.
Okay, you're an external service provider auditing for, let's say, ABC company, let's say procurement process. And now you're saying you want to hire someone from procurement team in your team, or you want to hire anyone from a different team in the company?
From the procurement team or the internal audit team as well for the same organization which I'm doing the audit.
You can always hire anyone from any other organization, same organization, that doesn't matter. Only thing is that same person should not go and do the audit of the procurement team again. So let's say you cannot do this, that, okay, you are hiring someone from the engagement client and asking that same person to do the audit of the same function. Because the person was executing the work, so that will be an act of self-review. Right, so you can always hire. There is no limitation in the standard that doesn't say that you cannot hire from so and so company. You can always go and hire even within the same function also, but that person can be used for auditing some other companies, but it should not be the same company. Make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. People, I think one more thing I would sincerely request. How many of you come from consulting background? How many of you come from consulting background? Can I see it on the chat box? People who come from consulting background, like Big Fours, or people who have not been in industry. And I think there are some few things. Is it, Suresh is asking, is it mandatory to disclose the competency level of auditors involved before an audit is initiated? Suresh, this is part of resource planning, wherein annual skill assessment is required, which is mandatory as per the standards, which ensures that when resource planning is done, CA ensures that the competent people are there in the team who are being allocated on the projects. So that's not before each audit is initiated, confidentiality needs to be disclosed. It's the skill assessment that happens on an annual basis based on which the team is decided. Does that answer, Suresh, your query? Yes. And then Asta is asking, can an existing employee who's not from the employee team become an employer in the same organization? Yes, of course, Asta. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about this section and objectivity just now. Don't worry. Okay, so how many from consulting? Mostly who have come consulting. People who have come from like mixed background, it's completely fine, like who have been in industry. But people who have just done consulting, who have been there throughout, like for example, I've never worked in industry. I've only worked in consulting companies. Largely, I was earlier with SNB, then with Genpact, then with EY, then I started my own. So that's how I am. So when I was studying CIA, honestly, these questions were coming multiple times in my mind also, when a lot of questions are being asked today in terms of, let's say we are an external service provider, we are an independent audit firm, we are a different consulting firm. These keeps, because this is something that we live day in, day out. So Aniket is saying he is part of consulting throughout. Dipanshi is saying throughout. Shalda is also saying, I think, Ras Deloitte services throughout. Venkat has mixed experience. Fazal is saying like consulting. Himanshu is mixed. Dipanshi is again consulting. SS consulting, then in industry. So a lot of you are saying it's consulting, right? Okay, people, I have a sincere request to all of you. When you are learning CIA and when you are doing this exam preparation, the first thing that you need to keep in your mind is think that you are part of an industry and you're part of the entire team of that company, and then think through on all those things. Only and until and unless an external service provider, and I'll repeat myself, it is external service provider, not even external assurance provider, not even external auditor. I'm repeating myself. The word is, can you all say that? The word is what? External service provider. Can you all say that with me? Can you all say that word with me, everyone?
External service provider.
External service provider. If the word, and I'm being very clear, people, and I'll repeat myself, until unless the word in the examination is used external service provider, think it from a point of view that you are part of what? You're part of the organization, and within the organization, you're part of the internal audit team. Okay, and think it from that point of view and then answer any question first. Second, the reason why I'm saying external service provider, there are words like external auditor. There's word like external assurance provider. What, and we'll read as we move forward in the sections, but just to clarify, external auditor in CIA context is basically the statutory auditor. Who is it? External auditor is not the independent service provider or a third party assurance service consulting firm who is supporting internal audit team, like a co-source partner. For a co-source partner or an outsource partner, employed partner, what is the terminology that is used in CI exam? It is the external auditor or external service provider. Which one is it?
External service provider.
External service provider is the terminology that we use. External auditor terminology is for what? Can anyone tell me? External auditor terminology is for statutory auditor, right? And the last one more I've used is external assurance. People, external assurance, we'll talk about it when we'll read the topic QAIP, Quality Assurance and Improvement Program, which says that internal audit department needs to be also audited by an external assessor. So external assessor, external assurance provider, external assessors, this is again not an independent audit firm or a third party outsourcing firm. External assessor is an external assessor under the QAIP topic. So in the examination, we can see three terminologies. I'll repeat myself: external service provider, external assessor, external auditor. Whenever the word external auditor comes in, you will have to think through how independent third party firm who is supporting or statutory auditor. You will think as a, okay, this is something they are talking about, statutory auditor. If the examiner is giving you a word external assessor, does it mean that there is a third party CA firm, CPA firm, or a consulting firm who is coming and auditing? Or you will think that, okay, this is something related to QIP. The answer is this is related to QIP. And if the word is external service provider, what is coming to your mind now? Co-source partner.
Consultant.
Third party independent
Outsourced.
internal audit firm, right? Internal audit third party. Is it clear now? Everyone, are we clear on the three terminologies? I'm telling you these fundamentals, people, so that you don't confuse. As you will move forward, you will understand these things, and somewhere you will read external auditor, somewhere you read external assessor, sometimes you will read external service provider. You will start getting confused again and again. So I'm telling you the crux of it. What is the first learning video? How we'll have to understand this entire CIA course? Thinking that we are part of the organization, and with that we are part of that team, either as a CAE, either as an employed team member. Clear, everyone? First thing, and the three aspects I spoke about. Clear, everyone? Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now again, think it from a point of view that as an internal audit function, what is competency? Competency. What did we learn, people? Employed function collectively. We should be competent. We should not lack knowledge, skill set, or competencies. Is that clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
All right, people. With that, we
Yes.
have understood the first three code of ethics. Now coming to the most important one, which is objectivity. People, the two keywords for objectivity is unbiased and conflict of interest. Can you all say that with me? What is the keyword for objectivity? It is unbiased and conflict of
Conflict of
people.
interest.
This is the most important topic that we are going to cover now. The last 30 minutes, last 20-25 minutes on today's session would be only on objectivity. But before I get into it, because a lot of it would be tested on this topic in the examination, and as we move forward to unit 2, many things that we're going to cover is only on objectivity. So objectivity is the, you can say objectivity is very critical for the part 1. So in order to proceed, I need a lot of motivation and a lot of participation on this. So can I see more and more yes on the chat box? Is everyone with me on the objectivity topic? Can I see multiple yes? I don't want to see 1, 2, 5. I want to see more than 40 people writing on the chat box that yes. Once I see 40 as a count, okay, we'll move forward on the chat box objectivity. I can still see 24, 25, 26 and moving. People, objectivity is key. I'll repeat that. Are you all with me? Can I quickly hear the word yes? Everyone, yes? Yeah.
Yes.
So we have
Yes,
33
yes.
yes already. Yes.
Yes.
Everyone is with me. Lovely. All right. Shweta, Shiji, Hari, Chandni, everyone, Ratan, NK, Altamus, Kankariwala, good to see you. Santosh, Faisal, everyone, Aryan, Prashant, everyone is with me. Shalda. Lovely. Very good. So objectivity, what are the two keywords that we spoke about it, everyone? It is the unbiased and
Biased,
conflict of
conflict of
interest.
interest.
These are two words. Now let's talk about the rules of conduct, people. The rules of conduct says that we should not participate in any activity or relationship that may impair or presume to impair their unbiased assessment. We should not accept anything that may impair or presume to impair their professional judgment, and we should disclose all material facts known to them. If not disclosed, may distort reporting of activities under review. Just read this. Don't understand, just read this. I'll explain each of this very clearly. Just read what are the three rules of conduct under objectivity. Everyone together, can you read it loudly? Everyone together. Let's read it.
Not participate in any
Participate in any activity or relationship that may impair or be presumed to impair their
presume to impair their unbiased assessment. Shall not accept anything that may impair or be presumed to impair their professional judgment. All material facts known to them, if not disclosed or reporting of activities under review.
Of activities under review.
Very good. Now let's understand, people. There are two words: impair or presume to impair. Can you all see that? What is it? It is impair or presume to impair. Now let's try to understand what is it saying. People, impairment means impairment has happened. Let's say I went to a related part. I went and did an audit where it is a related party, and this has led to impairment, right? Let's take an example. Okay, people, let's take an example that what has happened is, let's take an example. I know the CFO of the company very closely. I am, or he or she, the CFO of the company is my relative. Now let's take an example. But despite that relationship, I do justice to my work. I work with full integrity. I can show you all the work papers. I have audit findings which are significant, which are eye-opener, critical, and I've brought a lot of value addition in the audit. Have I still violated objectivity, people? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Why? Is it impaired or is it presumed to impair?
Presume to impair.
Presume to impair.
What does presume to impair means? Presume to impair means despite you have done justification to your work, despite you have all the work papers in the world to show you that you have worked properly and justify that, okay, the work was done with due professional care, still the people will have that thought in mind that this is a related party. Yes or no? This is a related party, so the person would get biased. The person will, since there's a conflict of interest, the person may not disclose fully. Yes or no, everyone? This
Yes,
is
sir.
what is the concept of presume to impair. I'll take another example. Let's take an example. People, you have went to an audit, and then in an audit you've got a gift. You've got a gift. Again, your audit findings is lovely. You have shown a perfect report which shows significant improvement. Your work papers are all in place. Can I say just by accepting the gift, people will start presuming that you would have left something critical, maybe? Still?
Yes.
So, no?
Yes, sir.
So this is what, again what we're learning? Presume to impair.
Presume to impair.
Okay, let's take an example. Let me just please allow me to please complete. Then you take up your question. Please let me just cover all the sections that I'm there. Then I'll pick up one questions each. Allow me a couple of minutes, people. Let me just cover all the examples, and then I'll take up all the queries on objectivity. Allow me 15 minutes. Okay. Let's come back on this. Let's take an example. You have accepted a gift after 6 months of your completion of the audit, which means that, let's say your audit was completed in March 24. Today in September 24, your audit team, your process owners comes and give you a gift saying that, hey, you have done a lovely job in the audit, and this has given us a lot of value addition. Here is a gift for you, and this gift is of a material value. If I've accepted the gift even after the audit is completed after 6 months, is it still a presumed to impair? Can I accept the gift after the audit is completed 6 months down the line? The answer is
Yes.
no. I cannot accept the gift even after 6 months of completion of the audit. The timing of acceptance doesn't matter, people. The timing of acceptance doesn't matter. Just that because I've done the audit 6 months back, I can accept the gift now, or I have already published the final report. Now I can accept the gift. The answer to it is no. Why? Presume to impair. If you will accept the gift, if you'll accept the favors from someone, it reflects what to others? It reflects others that you have impaired something. People are gifting you because you have done some favor to someone, and that is leading to objectivity issue. Are we clear? Yes or no? So far, everyone?
Yes.
What is presumed to impair? So now let's try to understand more, people. So objectivity, what we have understood, not participate in any activity or relationship that may impair or presume to impair their unbiased assessment. Now let's take another example. We have just now taken example of auditing a related party. People, we have just now spoke about that. Can I take someone from a different team in the company? We have, okay, let me ask you, how many of us understand that in the company and employee team, there are cross-functionally a lot of people come in the employee team? Let's say, for example, someone who was in business finance has joined internal audit team in the company. That can always happen, right? Do you all agree with me? Yes?
Yes.
For companies, let's take an example, companies like Pepsi, Nestle, Coca-Cola, or all the large FMCG companies. What happens? You have a revolving role, right? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, you are in factory finance, and then you are, let's say, 2-3 years in regional finance, and then maybe 2-3 years down the line you are part of the employee team. You can always be there, right? Like that. Do you all agree with me? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Everyone, do you all agree with me? Yes, you can be part of different teams in the company, and then you can join an internal job posting in the employee team. Do you all agree with me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, people, if I have joined the team, if I've joined the employee team, can I go and do the audit of the same function? It means that, let's say, if I'm part of the factory finance team and I've joined the employee team, can I go and do the audit of that factory again?
No.
There is a
No.
time.
Ideally, should I go and do it?
No. There is
No.
a
The answer
cooling
to it,
period. Maybe
Yeah.
after the cooling period? Yeah.
yes. So there is a cooling period which is of 1 year. How much year? Can anyone
1
tell me?
year.
There's a
1
cooling
year.
period of 1 year.
One
What
year.
does it mean? What does it mean if I cannot be going and doing the audit up to 1 year of that factory finance area, right? Let's say if I was working with procurement team, I was working under procurement team, and I moved to internal audit team. Can I go and do audit of sales? The answer is yes or no. Can I go
Yes.
and do audit of sales? Yes. Can I go and do audit of procurement area? The answer is no, up to an
No.
extent of what? Up to an
1
extent
year.
of 1 year period, right? People, again, fundamentally, let's go back on it. I was part of the procurement team. I understand procurement team where people can make errors. I've joined the employee team. I go and audit in the first year, in the first 6 months, in the first 4 months. Good audit findings, critical frauds disclosed, all the working paper in place. Is it still a violation? 4 months, 6
Yes.
months? The answer is
Yes.
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 Again, the reason is what? Impairment or presumed to impairment? The answer
Presume.
is presumed impairment. I hope you are able to connect the dots. Yes. Are you able to understand what we are learning, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have taken a couple of examples. We should not participate in any activity or relationship. Now let's take another example, people. Let's take an example where we have material ownership interest in the company. Again, if you have material ownership interest in the company, will it lead to objectivity issue? Do you all agree with me? Because it is leading to what? Presumption of impairment. Presumption of impairment, that because the person is holding a material interest in the company, the person will not disclose, right? If in case there is a fraud. You all agree with me? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Right. So these are all examples of objectivity issues, people. So I'll request you to repeat that. What are the, now I hope you're able to connect the first two. We should not
Sir,
participate in any activity.
Trupti
Yeah.
here. So can you please explain the third point? Shall disclose all material
I've
facts.
not come on that yet. I'm coming on that, Shruti.
Okay.
Just give me a couple of minutes. I've just covered the first 2 points. I'm going to come on third next. So can you all read the first 2 points first, everyone, together? Everyone, I hope you're clear with the first 2 points. It is not participate
In any
In any activity or relationship
that may
that may
impair
impair or
that
to
may
be
impair or
presumed to impair their
unbiased
unbiased
assessment.
assessment.
unbiased assessment.
and the next is
And
shall not accept.
Will not accept
anything
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 that
Not
may
that may
impair or to be presumed to
may
impair their
impair,
professional
their
judgment.
presumed to
professional
impair
judgment.
their professional judgment.
Right. People, now I hope this is clear so far. Now the last piece is STAR shall disclose all material facts known to them. If not disclosed, may distort the reporting of activities under review. What does it mean? Let's take an example, people. There's a critical audit finding. There's a critical audit finding. CFO comes of the company and says that, okay, this is the audit finding, you remove this, we'll take it up separately. You have removed the audit finding under influence. Now this is what? This is a objectivity issue. Are we clear? This is what? This is a objectivity issue. Can you all say that with me? There is an internal finding which is critical. Ideally, all the internal whom are we responsible to report to functionally? Anyone?
Board of
Functional
Board
reporting should be
Directors.
the board of directors. If there's a critical audit finding, whom should we report? We should go and report to the board of directors.
Board of
Let's say
directors.
the CFO of the company says that, okay, you remove this out of the board, out of the report, we'll take it up separately. Don't inform to the board. And in that case, as an individual, we have taken that call to sort of remove it. Now, who has done this impairment of objectivity? That individual has done the impairment to objectivity. That is basically has not disclosed all material facts known to them. If not disclosed, it is not the reporting of activities under review. So are we clear? Let's take an example. If we have suspension that there is a fraud going on, we are suspicious that there is a fraud going on. Can you all say that with me? What are we suspicious? That there is a fraud going on in inventory. You're doing an audit, there's a fraud going on in inventory. But then you have not disclosed this to the audit committee. Have you impaired objectivity? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
You have impaired objectivity. Why? Have you participated in any activity relationship? You have accepted anything, or you have not disclosed all material facts? You
Not
have
disclosed.
people. Let's take another example. Let's take an example that the example here is, let's say you are suspicious that there is an inventory fraud going on, but before the audit committee, you have obtained and gathered sufficient evidence to understand that there is no fraud going on. So I'll repeat my question. The example here, the example is, I was suspicious that there's a fraud going on, but before the audit committee, I have gathered sufficient evidences which give me a comfort that no fraud is going on. I have not disclosed to the audit committee. Is there any sort of violation of objectivity?
No.
No.
Okay. Let's take another example. Let's take example. I'm suspicious that there is a fraud going on, but I'm not sure. I am not sure because I didn't got time. And I believe that, okay, if someone will ask me, I'll tell them truly. And I've not disclosed this to the audit committee. I'm suspicious, but I've not disclosed, but also I'm not sure. In that case, if I'm not disclosed, is it objectivity issue?
Yes.
Yes.
The answer is
No.
yes, people. And lot of
Yes.
people will say no because I'm not sure. How can I say that? People, please understand, especially for the CIA exam at least. See, the first preference for such scenario would be always to deep dive more and gather sufficient evidence to at least come to a conclusion that fraud is happening or not to some extent. And then you can report to the audit committee and recommend investigation. Are we clear so far? Yes or no? What is the
Yes.
first step? And the best viable option in such scenario is to further deep dive. Can you all say that? To further
Further
deep dive. But let's say if you don't have time, what you will do? You should still go and disclose to the audit committee that I am suspicious. I would recommend investigation. Okay. And the third option is, if you have got sufficient evidences before the audit committee meeting and you have got some comfort that, okay, there's no fraud going on, in that case, if you have dropped that audit finding or you have not informed to the audit committee, have you done any violation? The answer to it is
No.
Clear, everyone? Okay. Now I'll give you few more examples, people, on objectivity violation. People, are you all still with me? How many examples you have covered? Related party?
Yes.
Gift? We have talked about disclosing material facts, right? Influenced by a CFO, all of that, right? Clear, everyone? All right.
One quick question, Sheetal here.
Please
You
go,
mentioned on the basis of suspicion, you didn't get time to, validate or further investigate those, and you'll still go ahead and report to the board. I mean, is this even of a viable example? It's because you are speaking of reporting something to the board, work you have not finished, and you are recommending that you should still go ahead and report the suspicious. Resourcing issue cannot be, I'm still not corroborating to that point.
Sheetal, I understand where you're coming from, but sometimes these are the scenarios that happen, right? So let's say if you're suspicious about it, you can always disclose it. Audit committee can come back and tell you at least that, okay, see, ultimately, audit committee is your boss in a way, right? And you should keep updating your boss in a way, right? So if audit committee is, you should inform to the audit committee that I'm suspicious about it. I'm going to cover it in the next, and I'll keep you posted. One way is that, let's say you have got to an extent that you see that, okay, there is the there is actually something that is going fishy around it, then you can always recommend investigation, or you can align with the audit committee that okay, we'll do investigation on this. So all of that is possible, but thinking from a point of view that okay, we know that we are suspicious about it, we are not sure, but if tomorrow audit committee will ask me, then I'll disclose truly that okay, we were not sure and so we have not disclosed it to you. That is what the standards and what examples we learn, and we'll take that examples, we'll understand that's not the best option. You should keep informed is the better option.
Okay.
Make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sir,
Yeah, please go ahead,
Shalda.
Suresh. Shalda,
So
okay,
Shalda.
you go ahead, please.
Yeah. Sir, if by any chance I'm in midst of performing the testing and deep diving into the suspicion that I have, and it might involve the board of directors directly or indirectly, and since it might have effect as on the management, top management as well, right? In those situations, should I wait for my conclusion or should I still intimate, because there
You're
might
giving
be
me
a
an Shalda,
possibility.
you're giving me an example where you're saying the board of directors are also involved in the fraud.
Yeah, somewhat. There's a suspicion, right? So I'm still in midst of working out the whole detail.
See, if the
Should I
board,
still inform?
again, see, if the board is involved in the fraud, I don't think so we can do much. If the audit committee or the board itself, we have to report to the audit committee. We are going to tell to them you have done a fraud. High chances, it is very difficult position to be in, to be honest, where the audit committee or the board of directors themselves are involved in a fraud. Okay, one to answer it is that. In that case, I think the whole relationship of audit function to go and report to the board will not be effective if the board itself is malfunction and if the board itself is involved in the fraud. To answer your question, and in that case, the better is if it is a listed company, and if you want to go and as part of your individual capacity want to exercise something like a whistleblower, that is better option. But it's something that you need to assess as an individual, that okay, whether I want to go and do a whistleblowing or not. Okay, so that is is something, because if a board or audit committee itself is doing a fraud, you're reporting to what? Board and audit committee telling them you have done a fraud. I mean, how does it
Yeah,
make sense? You're
exactly,
telling to the you're
exactly.
telling to your reporting manager that you have done something incorrect, right? So in one to answer is that. Now let's take an example. This is done by CFO and CEO, though board is independent of the CFO CEO. But yes, again, fundamentally, as I said, there are three scenarios I spoke about it. One, if you're suspicious and you've got sufficient evidence that there's nothing to worry about it, and you've dropped it before the meeting, completely okay, no violation. If you're suspicious and you've gathered the evidences, the first thing is you should gather the evidences. You should deep dive in, try to come to a conclusion, and then report. Okay, that is the best option and all. But let's take an example. Examiner is putting you into a situation where the examiner is saying that okay, you were suspicious, you were having, you didn't have time, and you thought that if the audit committee will ask me a question, I'll tell them honestly, but I'll not disclose. Um, is that the best option? The answer is no. You should go and disclose is the better option. Make sense?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Clear?
Arpit, I
Great.
have one question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Arpit, as we know currently that most of the organization conduct the party after closing the AGM meeting, so that is also considered as a conflict of objective.
Okay, lovely. So you're talking about a cultural, or let's say
Yeah.
a party, office party kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, after closing the AGM to the audit team.
I get your point, Faisal. See, we'll talk about it. That thing. See, objectivity is a thin line of thing, right? You're getting too much familiar could lead to objectivity issue. You don't become familiar, you don't build that relationship to get your audit constructive to be done. So I think, see, we'll have to understand situation to situation. Too much of familiarity can lead to presumption to impairment, right? Okay, this person has become too familiar, too socializing. The person is going every day in out, and their families are interlinked now, and they're going for a party in, let's say, um, uh, they're partying in globally, right? So sometimes those relationship gets created between an employed head and, let's say, the finance controllers of the company or the CFO of the company. I mean, if it's too close and too much socializing, the answer to it is yes. It may lead to some sort of objectivity issue. These kind of thing may lead to familiarity. Too much of familiarity is our threats to objectivity. You can say that. But let's say if it's an office party, if it's common for all, I mean, of course you can go and attend it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So I think there are a couple of more questions. Yeah, please go ahead. And one by one. I think Chris, there's someone who has raised their hand. Yeah, please go ahead. Suresh, you want to
Sure.
ask something?
Yeah,
Please
yeah.
go.
Maybe I will go now. So Ankit, I just have one scenario, right, about the non-material kind of gifts, right? It
Yeah,
is
that's allowed. That's allowed.
okay.
That's allowed.
That's
Pen,
allowed.
paper, diary, calendar, which is available to everyone. Diwali gift, which is available
And
to everyone in the company. Allowed.
yeah, I'm just thinking the other scenario, right? So, say in an organization, if there is any procedure of getting the stakeholders' feedback, say for example, internal audit team has to get the stakeholders' feedback, maybe
Yeah, yeah.
post
Client service is important.
completion kind of things,
Right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, lovely.
And if the feedback is going to be very good, right? Is that going to be a situation of presumed to impair?
No, 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 Suresh. So if it is a very good feedback because client was happy, and see, generally feedback is on what lines? Whether the employee team was able to add value, whether the employee team was able to understand the process well, whether the coordination was properly taken care of, whether you were keep informed in terms of the audit findings, all of that, right? So which is the general feedback about the team. So all of this is good to go. I mean, because the feedback is coming from the team, there could be honestly good work that the team has done. So client surveys and positive feedback is not considered as an objectivity issue.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Hi,
Yeah,
Arpit.
Christella, please.
So, hi Arpit. I have a
Let's quickly cover
scenario.
Christella and then we'll cover. Oh yeah, please go ahead, Christella. Please go ahead.
So I have a scenario. Let's say before I get into an audit to an specific process, I get to know that there is something wrong that is going on from multiple sources. Let's say from the previous auditor or from other the same
Very good.
project owners. So
Got it.
during my audit, I didn't find any breaches or any fraudulence that is happening. So do I have to include this as an audit note or an in my report that nothing was found, or I can ignore it?
No, no. So see, assurance you will have to give any which ways, right? So in assurance, you will have to, as part of your assurance note or whatever it is, you will have to tell that, okay, these are the audit findings, or these are the improvement areas, or this is the overall performance, this is satisfactory, non-satisfactory, need improvement, whatever it is, right? So I think that will suffice. It's not that okay because of certain rumors you thought that okay there is a fraud going on, and when you went into sort of deep dive through employed exercise or through an assurance engagement, let's say the results were not like that, which is fine. That can always be there, right? So,
So, not including that in my report will not be an objectivity breach, is it? Or I have to include it?
no, see,
When I
I
find no
mean,
fraudulence was observed.
yeah, see, of course, if you have not found any fraud, then in that case, of course, you will not report it to the employee report as a finding, right? But see, employee report can always have uh, um, positive notes also that saying that these areas were satisfactory in nature, right? So it's always good to sort of use it. We cover these aspects in communicating results, which is part of part two. What should be there in employee report and all, and what sort of content gets covered under the employee report. That's all part of the part two. But to answer you at this point of time, crystallize that a positive note should be okay. Give it.
I mean, so that is to continuation to this point, which was asked just now. It's like a assurance to that, right? It's kind of assurance that we are giving that of the
Okay, think it
technical.
from got it, Venkat. Think it from a point of view that the CFO has requested to go and look at the inventory specifically area because this is a special assignment. This is not part of your audit plan. They have got to know that there's a fraud going on in inventory area in X location. And let's say, and they have heard from someone and they want employer to provide assurance on that. Employer planned for it and went and did an assurance assignment. Let's say nothing came up. Then of course we'll have to come back and tell to the CFO, no, we went there and no such audit findings were there. So we have to express our opinion, right? So we can always tell them that, okay, no. And let's say and how do we justify for all of it? Whether we have done it properly and adequate review was done, we have to show our work paper. In fact, in part of the report, we can also show what was our approach, what are sort of checks and comprehensiveness we have done so that the management gets a fair view in terms of what was the effort in the employee exercise to come to this opinion. Make sense? Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah.
Yes,
Venkat,
sir.
Christella, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Please go ahead, Hari. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hari, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I have a couple of questions, Arpit. The first one is that on the GIPS So every organization again they will have a threshold that the staff can accept this amount of gifts, from the stakeholders. So if my, the amount of gift that I've received, if that meets the threshold, is it fine, or still do I have to, consider other things as well?
If it is within the threshold that is defined by the organization, it is fine.
Okay.
Because these thresholds will be what, 1,000, 5,000 rupees types, right? This cannot be like 50,000 a lakh or something like a gift policy. So generally it would not be like that. So you can say that generally the gift policy should be aligned with that also. As
Great.
part of corporate
And
governance, yeah.
yeah. And my second question is that, again, say if my uncle or somebody is working in finance, as an internal auditor, I am restricted only not to audit that particular function, right? As long as I don't have conflicts, I can involve in other aspects of that. Is my understanding right?
So in a way, yes, but it's always better to sort of disclose it because finance get linked to multiple areas, right? So even if
Okay.
you're going to do sales audit, maybe finance is linked towards revenue and collection, right? Credit limit, which gets linked. So it's always better to disclose such scenarios.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, great. All right. Anyone else who has question who would like to come and speak? And then, of course, there's few questions on the chat box. Anyone else who would like to come and ask the question, and then we'll take up questions on the chat box.
Yeah. So Ankit, on this one, the last answer, the response which you have given. So if the disclosure is done before the commencement of the audit, then the presumed nature or the actual nature of conflict of interest will go away. Is that what the understanding is?
Yes, in a way, see, as a objectivity is what objective is an individual attribute, right? If we have disclosed of a conflict of interest, and in that case, I mean, even in that case, it's on the CAE or it's in the supervisor to take it forward to the other process owners, and we'll talk about it in case such impairment happens. What do we need to do? But we'll cover it later. But to answer you at this moment, if you have disclosed it, it is good enough.
Okay. So I know the answer. Just getting the confirmation from. So all the 3 pointers which is mentioned here, unbiased information, presume. This is like actual impair or presumed impairment for the unbiased assessment. So these are something which are in form of disclosure not made in advance.
No, not really. I mean, see, just not disclosures. We should not accept any gift, right? So accepting gift is not just okay.
No,
I'm
I'm
accepting the
talking
gift
about
and
the
I can disclose it.
first. Sorry. If I wasn't clear, the first 2 bullets.
So again, repeating myself. Let's say you're auditing a related party, right? One, you're not allowed to do it altogether because if you're doing it, objectivity gets impaired. It's not just because I've disclosed that okay, this is the related party, I can go and do audit. Ideally, we should not do audit. We should say we should not do audit for that area. That's not the right approach. Okay, makes sense? Yeah.
Yes, and I have dropped a question because there were so many peers asking it. So the question is, if the auditing member, the one which is appearing on the, if the auditing member is sharing, they are the flatmate kind of PG kind of
Got it.
arrangement.
See, I get it.
So
I get it. See, these things, as I said, see, there's no one answer to this question, Shay. Is that Shay asking? I said, sorry, I'm not clear on the name. Can
this
you
is
please
my
spell out the name?
Suraj.
Suraj, okay. Suraj, see, there's no one similar scenarios. We'll talk about as we move forward. We'll talk about threats to objectivity. Threats to objectivity could be too much of familiarity itself. So if too much of familiarity is there, I mean, this scenario is too much of familiarity, right? Too much of socialism. So those things could lead to these are things that are considered as threat to objectivity.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense. Thank you.
Right.
Hi, sir. Asta here again. Just a small question. If I am from one branch of finance, for example, AP, can I audit payroll, or that 1 year cooling period applies to this as well? Because both
No, you
the
can audit.
departments actually
You can
belong to the
audit.
finance.
You can audit. You can audit payroll. Let's say if you have moved to internal team and then you want to audit payroll, which is not part of AP team anywhere, you can do
Yeah.
audit of there. You cannot audit for AP. You can do audit for
Okay.
AR also. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, the
Thank
idea
you.
is self-review. The idea is what? Objectivity. The keyword here is self-review. I cannot be reviewing my own work in a way, right? If
Yeah.
I'm reviewing my own work, what is getting impacted? It is the objectivity that is getting impaired.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Clear? Makes
Okay.
sense?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
lovely. So people, we have more and more examples on objectivity, but I think the time is up. We'll take this forward in the next session. We'll cover objectivity more at length. This is still a start. We have much more to cover. I think tomorrow in the next session, we'll have more and more clarity on the subject. We'll get to understand objectivity. We'll look at the charter. We'll understand assurance. We'll understand consulting. We'll sort of recap what we have done, everyone. So it's the first session. I don't want to overdose you in the first session, but I hope you are before we wrap up for the day, if I go back on the content, people, are you at least today in today's session, at least are you clear with IPPF as a framework? What is IPPF and what are the what does it contain? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Are you clear with code of conduct as in precisely what is the purpose? What are the things that should be there in code of ethics to enhance its value? What are the 4 code of ethical conduct that we are talking about, and whom is it applicable to? Are we clear on all those things? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Are we clear in terms of the rules of conduct? Integrity, the keyword is honesty, trust, right? Objectivity, the keyword is unbiased, conflict of interest. Confidentiality, the keyword is prudent in use of information. Competency, the keyword is collective, right? Is that clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes,
Are
yes,
we
sir.
clear with certain examples of violation of integrity, confidentiality, and competency? Objectivity, we are still covering it, but few examples, at least gift, not auditing in an area where they have worked at least in the previous year, auditing related party. Are we clear on those things? Yes or no? Fundamentally?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
So people will take the session forward in the next session. I think Chani is asking, is there any threshold gift? No, Chani, as I said, there's no threshold gift which is given in the standard, but there could be threshold from the organization in the organization policy. If it is within that, that's fine. I think this is something I've covered. Okay, lovely. So thank you
Sir,
everyone
one
for joining.
question here.
Yeah,
What is
please go ahead.
presumed to impair?
This question is asked by
Anjana.
Anjana. This entire discussion of the last 1 hour is on presumed to impair.
Yes, yes. Means I got it somehow, but I wanted to know more clear about.
Okay, anyone in the class who can just explain, Anjana, what is presumed to impair? Because the last 1 hour that what we were talking about is all presumed to impair. Anyone who would like, any volunteer who would like to tell what is presumed to impair by example?
Maybe I can go.
Yeah, please go ahead. Just call out your name and go ahead.
Yeah, this is Hari. Yeah. So, I mean, presumed impairment is just, it's like making an assumption, first of all. But then, the assumption may become a potential, action factor. Say, for example, I am receiving a gift, from from an auditor, from an external party. So in this case, I mean, it could be a very small gift. It could be just a Parker pen or something of that sort. The value could be very minimal, but then it gives an impression that, since I'm receiving a Parker pen, I may be favoring the auditor. So people tend to make these assumptions. So that's what it's termed as presumption.
Okay, got it.
So basically, presumption to impair means what, Anjana? It's basically, think it from a point of view that you have published a very lovely report, right, with all the critical audit findings out there. You have all the work papers to substantiate that your work is complete and the coverage is amazingly done. But let's take an example. After completion of the audit, 6 months down the line, you have accepted a gift. After 6 months, you have accepted the gift, or before start of the audit, you've done accepted the gift. Since you have accepted the gift, people will presume, right, that because you have accepted the gift, you would have removed certain critical audit finding out from there, or you've done some favor to the, or there would have been some favor exchanges that would have done between the process owner and the auditor, right? This is presumed to impair. Let's take an example. You went ahead and did an audit of a related party. You have all the work papers in place. You have, your report is amazing. Your critical findings have been highlighted. But since you have audited a related party, people will always have that presumption, right? That that this one the person would have skipped certain critical aspects in the audit. Makes sense now? What is presumed to impair?
Yeah, got it. The whole concept I got it. I just wanted to understand what is actually meant. So now I got it. Thanks.
So, I mean, sir, can be like this. It can be like presume is something like supposed to be assumption. It's giving an preemptive assumptions to everyone that this could have been happened or not happened, something kind of things, right?
Yes, you can say that. Yes, what can happen, but presume to impair means someone thinking from a point of view. If you're, as I said, see again, you are socializing a lot, right? If you're socializing a lot with the process owners, I mean, let's say you are going on a trip to Manali with your process owners with whom you're going to audit. Now, does it make sense that you're too close as a friend, and tomorrow if something incorrect your friend is doing, uh, um, will it give me a comfort, let's say as a board of directors, that okay, these people are too socialized with each other. Tomorrow, if even someone is done, the person may not disclose it fully, right? So that's what this is presumed to impair, right? Too much familiarity, socialism, accepting gift, auditing a related party, these can lead to presumption of impairments. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. Siddhartha is asking the topic that we covered today should have roughly 1 to 15 questions in the part 1 exam. See, 15% is the weightage. Even if you calculate 15 into 125, this could be more. But yes, you can expect. See, I cannot give you the exact question, Siddhartha, but it could be anything between 10 to 15. Yes, because there are a lot of topics. We have employee charter also, wherein 4 to 5 questions can be asked on employee charter alone. Objectivity, as I said, multiple questions can be asked. There could be question of code of ethics. Few questions could be asked on code of ethics. Yeah, so you can say roughly there is a good weightage of this unit. So yeah, great.
Sheetal, here one question from the content perspective. So what you've
Please,
covered on the slides, I believe it's from the Glim book and the key pointers, like which is like the definitions and etc. But there are additional notes like rule to conduct 2.1, 2.2. Are we supposed to read all of that, the Glim book completely, or just the materials are enough for preparation?
So Sheetal, we have not completed unit 1. I'll tell you once again the approach. What is the approach? We'll cover the slides. Once the slides are done, we'll open the Glim book pura.
Okay.
We'll open the Glim book. We'll read word by word entire Glim book. That will act as a revision. We'll highlight certain key things in the Glim book, and we'll make sure that whatever we've learned via slides, and we have covered 100% in the Glim. See, the only point is, if we go with the Glim book, it is not as structured as the way the slides are and the way I want to run the session. So the first thing that we understand is via slides. Then we'll open the Glim book. We'll read word by word. We'll highlight. There could be few things that are there in the Glim which may not be covered in the slide. So I'll tell you that okay, this is important. This is important in the Glim. This is important in the Glim. And then after that, what we'll do, we'll come to a things to remember section. After that, what we'll do, we will practice some MCQs in the class. I'll share you a Google form. We'll see the assessment, how much did we learn. Then we'll discuss the MCQs, and then we will complete unit 1. So there's going to be little long journey to complete each unit. Don't worry. Okay. All right.
So I have a request actually. Can we put this PPT before the session? I mean, 1 or 2 days before the session. So tomorrow is the next session. So can we have the PPT for the next session in advance? So I was just thinking we can take the printout, and then whatever you, mention as a keyword or an explanation, we can just write it down. I don't know whether it is fine for everyone, but it's a habit. It's my habit to write things, a notes on a side of a paper. So can we have that
So
facility?
PPT, of course, we can explore that, but the only problem is this keeps changing, even just right before the session also. So it keeps continuously adding on it. These are not just the standard slides. So there could be last version of the slides could be slightly different versus what we'll cover this time. We may add continuously right before the session also. So generally it's preferred to pick it up later. And as I said, most of it is already written in the slides. I mean, because if you see the structure is such that whatever is important has been already been highlighted. Whatever is keyword is already been bold, right? So when I say these are the keywords, it's already been highlighted bold. And as I said, it doesn't end here. When we'll read the Glim, we'll highlight the section together. You would be having the Glim notes. There is also, I'll show you guys. So I don't want to show you the questions, but any which ways. So there are sections that will have the things to remember section. So if you see, this is again, if you see, this is the things to remember section that will cover. So as you move forward, what are the keywords under these things to remember? So just go with the flow. Once you have done, because I understand a lot of you are doing it for the first time. So this may say take some time to get adaptable to the way of the class, with the way the classes are conducted. But I'm fully confident that once we have done the first complete unit 1, you will get the complete approach of how the other remaining units are going to be conducted. So it's the same fashion that we do. We cover the slides, We cover the MCQs in the class when we are understanding. So next class, we will understand some of the MCQs. And then what we'll do is we'll go the GLIM, we'll read the GLIM, and then we'll practice again more MCQs through the GLIM Google form. I'll share you the Google form on the group. Then we will, let's say there are 30 MCQs in the class. We'll practice all 30 MCQs. The class will be silent for 30 minutes. You will attend. We'll see what is the average score. Then we'll discuss each MCQs of what we have done wrong, how we would have read this question, what is the keyword, what we've learned in the class, how we can link it to the MCQs. And that's how we finish this up. And these slides are also shared with you. Make sense?
Okay.
The final
Rasta,
slide.
I think you can also go on LMS portal and download the notes from there.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes,
that
after the
will be
session. That is
whatever
after
is,
the
yeah,
session.
after the
That is
session.
after the session.
I was actually requesting something before the session, so we can have a, hard copy and jot down the notes for that purpose.
But Arpit, I already have available all the notes. The class
As I
notes
said, see
section there.
these continues to change. If you want to look at the notes,
Yeah.
there would be notes on the previous recordings. You can look at that. But as I said, these notes continuously change, right before till the session also. It's not these are standard slides. So based on the learning, based on things that we go, we continuously improve. So this is not the exact last version of the notes. Last version, to some extent, it would be notes, but there could be additional things that could come across. So that's why I don't favor to kind of share it before. And then there could be a lot of assumptions also coming. See, please understand, there could be a lot of assumptions. If people have read it in pre-hand, they could straight away come and start jumping the guns, right? Which I don't want at all.
Yeah.
I mean, if people will start jumping the guns, it is very difficult to run the class. I want to take it with the flow so that people understand step by step. Otherwise, since the people would have read, they will start considering it from their point of view and they will start jumping, then they have already understood. And I don't want it to get into that confusing ways when we have such large group. Okay, so don't worry. I think it should be okay. Don't worry about it. Tanvi is asking, we will finish unit 1 tomorrow? I cannot guarantee, Tanvi. It depends on um, it depends on how the flow goes with the class, right? So there is no set process that okay, we have to finish till this by 3 hours, right? So it goes with the flow. I don't want to rush. At the same time, I don't want to very slow. It depends on how the class goes, solving up the queries. People have to understand. That's the intent. And initial session, as I said, unit 1 to unit 3, these cover 55% weightage, and this is not just foundation to this. This is going to be foundation for part 2 also. So the first 3 units will go a little slow. As I said, the weightage is very high. Each word has to be understood carefully. So go with the flow. I am sure you will enjoy it and you will understand very clearly. And I think that's the important aspect of going with the part-wise exam. We go slow and we understand word by word clearly, which is important. Understanding where we can make errors in the exam. So I think 2 more sessions to, I think Tanvi, it will take 2 sessions to cover if I have to answer you in unit 1, because tomorrow we'll understand the topic. We'll start GLIM. And then once we complete GLIM, then we'll practice the MCQ. So at least 2 more sessions to do with the part 1, unit 1. Okay. All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Once again, see you all in the next session. Have a good day. Good day. Bye, everyone. Thank you for the feedback,
Thank you so
everyone, for
much.
the session. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Arpit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.